Canada is a country. Waves of people came to this country, were welcomed by the folks who have lived here for millennia, the First Nation. And built this society with waves of people fleeing religious persecution, fleeing tyranny, fleeing to try and build a better life for themselves here than they had back home. Whether it's folks fleeing from world wars or fleeing from civil wars, these people always want the same thing: to be able to live in peace, to raise their families, to create a better future for themselves and their communities. And that is what generations created, this extraordinary diverse society we have. Now, Canada remains one of the only countries in the world where citizens are, by and large, positively kind. And one of the reasons we are that way is because Canadians have confidence in our leaders.
What up, everybody? Welcome from the warm, sunny beaches of Canada in the wintertime. I'm Andreas. We've got Dawn with us. This direction. Hi, Dawn. Good to meet you. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very, very well. Melissa's here as well. What's up, Melissa? And then over there is Jordan. Hi, Jordan.
Hey,
this is a good. And I think I'm going to set it up that if you guys want to vote for which squares people are in, I don't know exactly how we'll do that, but I have no problem with you choosing where we stand.
Esoteric squares. Let's play the game, folks.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Dawn, and your research, because I've been checking out your Rumble videos, and you do a bunch of...
Right to me. Oh, my goodness.
Just so they know, because you do a lot of interesting stuff, and I like some of the research that you've been doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So my background is I was an infantry officer for 15 years of my life. I was the first female PPCLI infantry officer in the history of the regiment during this cycle of life. And I was also in the special forces. And I do high-level government training for multiple levels of government all over the world, or at least I was doing it before the pandemic. And a lot of the stuff that I was saying more and more out loud, it kind of limits me to the people that want to be affiliated with me at this point, and I understand why. But and so I'm a top secret, high-level security analyst at this point, and I try to get vocal about this stuff online, not because I want to, but because I feel like I need to. It's almost like it's an obligation, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really
I want to be in the shadows, right? That's where I've been for like 20 plus years of my life, right? And that's where I operate. But sorry, I'm already talking too much. So
no, it's good. I'm glad you explained. I mean, the thing is, it's confusing how it's possible to be so transparent while also living in a world where secrets are, both they exist and they're essential to national and international security. I don't know. It's impressive that you're able to ride that fine line. And I think it's important because the whole world is safer by knowing the truth about what it is and where we're at, all that. But Jordan, what have you been up to this week? I saw you had a book. What was the book you were reading just now?
I picked up, since we were talking about the Picton farm, I think 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
So I picked that up.
Refresh people on the Picton farm, what it is. And
that was in the Vancouver area. I forget how many missing women are attributed to it, but it's just from the starting of reading the book, it sounds like the people living and working the farm were some interesting characters, and sex, drugs, rock and roll, more drugs, and kind of some violence turned into a really bad situation that ended up digging up the farm and essentially finding bodies and, kind of a John Gacy style situation. I haven't gotten through the book completely, so I'm not an expert on the case yet, but as far as
started to dig it.
It's definitely something that's not talked about much.
Right.
You'd think that it would be something that would get picked up on a Netflix show or something. But I mean, if it's anything to do with Canada, I mean, it gets the cold shoulder, it seems, right? I mean, we've been through that over and over on this show, right? So yeah,
It's
I mean,
funny.
if Jeffrey Dahmer was Canadian, which
right.
kind of was. I mean, Milwaukee.
Yeah. That's actually
right?
the fear vibe of it. Wisconsin. Everybody in America is afraid of Wisconsin for some reason. I don't know why.
Right?
I don't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to say this just to be transparent, that I literally had a private caller call me during this. I didn't mean to interrupt. And so this is what I get right on a regular basis. So as soon as I came online, this is my first time live. It's just very interesting, right? And so I'm just going to say it is what it is.
Someone's at you right away.
Yeah, but it was but we didn't hear it, so I don't know if you muted, but it's successful, so things are okay. You'll get through it. Melissa, what about you? I saw you had a book too.
Oh my god, I got a new book. I haven't read it yet, but I thought I should revisit it.
Which one was it again?
Okay, so it's The Kingdom of God is Within You by Leo Tolstoy, and it's sort of what inspired one of two books. How does my light?
Russian authors aren't necessarily Canadian, but reading Russian literature is, so I'll allow it. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, when I was like in high school, I read a bunch of his novels, and then had like an awakening moment or something. Like a spiritual experience. So I was like, since then, kind of living that life, and I learned later that it was anarchist Christian theology. And he was like a famous theologian amongst them as someone who invented this wing of anarchy. Sorry. And I was like, oh, I didn't know I was indoctrinated. And so I thought I'd revisit it now to be like, what exactly did I start to do, like grade 11 onward, for my life philosophy? So I'll just look at it and see my MK Ultra mind.
Yeah,
what I signed up for.
Have you seen the I think it's Young Indiana Jones with Tolstoy?
Yeah.
Indy.
No, the first Indiana Jones or something.
It's he made it after it's prequels. You know what I mean?
Let's see the picture.
Young.
I only
Indiana
watched
Jones.
them. I watched Indiana Jones with that one actor really late.
Yeah, and there's like, oh man, every episode costs $1 million. They go to every part of the world. Yeah, they go all over the world, and it's
so cool.
It's absolutely the best show.
Time frame? What is this? The late 80s?
Late 90s, and so basically,
there he is. Yeah.
Well, mid 90s too. So he made this before he made George Lucas made this before he made Star Wars Episode 1. So you can see the influence of Episode 1. This led to
the beard, the white beard.
Yeah,
Johnny
Depp. But this is supposed to be the time that, because every episode he's with his family around the world as a kid. That's why, because Indiana Jones saw so many things. So that one time in Russia when he was 10, that he ran away from home in St. Petersburg, and he met Tolstoy so every episode, like, he meets Krishnamurti, he meets Tolstoy, he meets Madame Blavatsky. He's just constantly doing interesting stuff.
Hitler, did he see Hitler and then Argentina?
Twice. Yeah, Indiana Jones meets Hitler, and he makes
got killed.
How did you watch all of this? You watched every episode?
Oh, for sure, yeah. In my life, I love Indiana Jones. But like, he's got the book, right?
Is that Harrison Ford?
Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones, and then he gets
from the original. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I watched the Harrison Ford, one of them. One of the few. Yeah.
And that Donnie Darko character too was in that background, wasn't he? I forget what his name is again.
Jake Gyllenhaal, or what? What do you mean?
Maybe.
Yeah, from Donnie Darko. I don't know, but there is a lot of anyway. There's a lot of cool things in the Young Indiana Jones series. Okay. If you're gonna ever if you're ever gonna see something about Tolstoy, kind of an interesting one. Tolstoy reminds me of Rick Rubin from Def Jam Records.
I'll watch that episode at least. Yeah.
Well, okay. What do you think about the we're on the C11 thing? Ford's claim of parliamentary privilege slammed as baloney amid fight against Emergency Act. So what's up with the Emergency Act and why? Tell us.
Oh my goodness. Anyone want to start with this? I don't want to go on any tangents.
Explain to us.
What's the point of a show without a tangent?
True. And so, like, even before the Freedom Convoy came here, I was alerting parliamentary protective services, the special forces, the Green Army, like security details of all sorts, and just letting them know that these people were coming, and that it wasn't bought for and paid for and organized by the people that they thought they were, and that these people were just like being utilized and and character assassinated essentially, but and to be seen as part of this like fringe minority or like white supremacist, group, you know what I mean? That was coming in to terrorize people. And so I was trying to give them like so much information saying that this is not true, that Farfadet and Diagolon, that these were not at all terrorist organizations at all. If you would just do like even like a little bit of digging, and that I was even saying, do not declare the Emergency Act, because they wanted to declare it that first weekend, and then have role players. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm talking so much, but
no. It's just the last legal resort. It's so funny
because do you know about crisis actors or riot actors?
I mean,
all over the world.
I allegedly know about allegedly.
Oh yeah, I allegedly know that they have allegedly made. Sorry about that. Right. So allegedly, there may have allegedly been role players of various sorts that were funded by various levels of government and other third-party organizations that were put there just like every other area, right? It's to elicit emotional responses in people, and they target various, parliamentary buildings or war monuments or homeless people or disenfranchised groups, right? And it's to cause chaos and division and what I was saying before. And
hey, look, Wikipedia has an article that makes it sound totally legit. So I'm going to read Wikipedia's article because that way I'm not getting in trouble. Is a crisis actor or actor patient or actor victim? Which, by the way, when you say it like that, we've all been in college. Have you been in college? Did you remember this? I actually have dealt with actor patients in college classes for emergency response. Anyway, in a trained actor, role play, volunteer, or other person engaged to portray a disaster victim during emergency drills to train first responders such as police, firefighters, or EMS personnel. See, exactly. So there's no question then, of course, that crisis actors do in fact exist. They have to exist for the training of police, firefighters, and EMS personnel. Okay. Crisis actors are used to create high fidelity simulations. High fidelity?
Agreed.
That's beyond digital. Yes.
Cool.
Beyond 4K, real life disasters in order to allow first responders to practice their skills and help emergency service organizations.
Yeah, so there's a difference. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's a difference between like utilizing training resources, because train as you fight, etc. And we should have a strong defense, right, in order to be relevant, you know what I mean, and secure, all these other things. But and so training needs to be done very similar to the environment that people are going to be operating in, and you have to build that resilience piece. And I won't go on all these tangents, but when you're monopolizing or exploiting an already like potentially volatile situation, and in order to again just like cause needless distractions, you know what I mean, and harm to our own citizens, this is where like our government is supposed to be governing Canada, right? It's we're supposed to be the governing body serving our nation, right? And not protecting people that are doing things that are causing more harm. And then even Jim Watson, he's the mayor of Ottawa, and Glenn Gower, he's in Stisco. But anyways, these people were lying and spreading hate and division on social media platforms, by the way, like our CBC, CTV, and even conservatives, right? It's like left and right. It's also like part of the same bird, right? It's just it's created by design that way in order to keep us distracted. But so training is important, but not exploiting people is also equally important, right? Because like it's not necessary and it's harmful. And that's what a lot of people did during that. And I wasn't okay with that, because a lot of information was supposed to be going out to the public, like the Pfizer data that was released for the therapeutics that were used on people like me sharing that data as soon as it was finally released. And that was getting dismissed, right? And so that's why people were actually here trying to protest. The genuine people, they weren't like terrorists. They were saying like, hey, like look at all these side effects, look at all these things. One of my friends, Helen Bruce, she was suspended. Now she's like half working, but very controlled in what she can do and say. But she was trying to call out like adverse side effects in children because of therapeutics. Reel me in, sorry, because like again, this is my first time live and I don't know.
Not a tangent.
It's say online.
It's not a tangent. It's a roll. Yeah, just go.
Okay, so yeah, it's just a roll. But I'll leave it at that for now, because I don't know what I can and cannot say.
Well, okay, let you know who can say it. I'm pretty sure Carson Party can say it. Retired OPP officer says he doesn't think Emergencies Act was needed to clear Freedom Convoy protesters. So I mean, it's not just you. It's not just theory. It's not. This is from experience of police officers saying, "Dude, this was crazy," and it actually made it more difficult.
Yep. Yeah, because I was talking with all levels of of like the first responder types, right? These are the people that are on the ground doing this stuff, right? Like these are the ones that were actually trying to make this peaceful, but with more of the actual information on the ground, or trying to get that information to people, and it wasn't reaching people, right? Or they were getting suspended or fired. It was just insanity, right? And we were even getting comms locked down and jammed, highway traffic control jammed, and then in the hearings that are going on now that I'm live streaming it, everyone's saying that they didn't like that this was like, there was no need for it, right? And it was unjustified, and there was so much mismanagement at so many levels. I can go on so many tangents, because even like not even doing like daily update briefs, like that was not even done, right? It's just mind blown, right? And they're saying this online like it's okay. Everyone's like, okay, it's okay. Like a weekly report, like what are you insane? I've been to war. We did battle update briefs in the morning, and then combat update briefs in the evening, right. And then a whole lot of other stuff, in between, right? And we knew where all of our assets were at all times, like whether it be personnel or vehicles or equipment, resources. So they didn't know any of that stuff.
Yeah, because they're not doing that. As an American, I have probably a better idea than most about the Fast and the Furious. But what do you think? And explain what you think will happen with less oversight.
Well, we need to have, this is what I mean. Like I'm all for, we need to have like law enforcement. We need to have police. We need to have military. Right. But we don't need to mislead and lie to people in order to cause chaos or destabilizing events that like needlessly put them at harm, them away from their families, them at risk as well, right? This is where I'm coming from, like the first responder types, right? I'm speaking on their behalf too. You know what I mean? I don't want once you know better, you do better. And these are people that are of service, that are always like putting their lives on the line with even firefighters, right? And it's like, don't lie to people, right? Just, sorry, I get so like dry in my mouth even talking about this stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. I mean, but it's reflective right now of the state of Canada. I mean, do you feel like the ability of the citizen to address grievances has it ever existed? And is it gone now? I mean, because things seem like almost impossible to petition against. Or is that what can be done? I don't know. Let's start with the first part. What are the state of things for a citizen trying to petition to redress grievances? I mean, after the trucker protest, where are we?
Right. I could go on. If people
go on, please. Yeah.
I just don't want to talk like all the throughout the whole thing. So even Justin Trudeau, right? So we had elections here last year, and these were like it wasn't a planned election, and I do believe that he thought he was going to get a majority government in this. And this is why I feel like there's like some kind of division with what's going on at the cabinet level and what's going on within society, right? It's because there's a disconnect. I don't know, like again, if there's any harm in this or any like ill intent, but it's just happening, right? It's just happening. Things are unfolding, and so he even admitted it just a few weeks ago that he's like, it's just what people do in politics, right? They elicit emotional responses and division in people because it gives us like when we're living in fear, you know what I mean? Like we consume more, all these other things too. And when we're more entertained, like the more we're he wanted to get votes essentially. And so he caused a lot of division and chaos during a pandemic. And then so like what happened like a few months later, a freedom convoy, you know what I mean? That got bigger than like what people planned, et cetera. And so yeah, like I don't even know where to go with this. And so like you shouldn't be doing things like that as a leader. You should be calm. You should not be the one that's causing these destabilizing events. You should be the ones that's trying to prevent them. Like I'm a use of force instructor as well, right? And so it's like de-escalation techniques and tactics before anything, it's and he didn't even want to talk to people, and he was calling people like me like these like a fringe minority, and I was getting accounts deleted on me, and just trying to share information with people again to like make it as safe as possible, and to call out any of these like riot or crisis actors from like making this bigger than what it was, right? Because like look what happened at Washington, right? Allegedly it was staged and planned, you know what I mean? And for a few weeks, allegedly, they were like doing like rehearsals, and allegedly people like open up the barricades, and allegedly it is a very heavily secured, surveyed area. And guess what? And every single freaking light post, like also in like most modern cities, there's surveillance. And I'll stop talking, sorry. Because even now it's all coming out, and he's like, oops, you know what I mean?
Don, you were welcome. I know people are.
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, I was gonna say you're welcome to filibuster as hard as you want. But also, I am curious, Jordan. What do you think of this? What do you think about the idea that the trucker protest was another psyops? Says Joe the Toe. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that there's How deep do you go? How far do you bend to get below the limbo bar?
I mean, anything's possible, right?
Right.
That seemed to be the one thing where people finally in this goddamn country started to do something, and it actually worked, so to speak. It made some changes. It got us back out on the streets. It took those diapers off our face.
People saw it. Right.
So if it was, it had some benefits at least. But if it wasn't, then I mean, you just got to keep that fire going because, like with some of the
think, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Just with some of the stuff that Don's talking about. I mean, like when you're in a position of power and authority, when you're in these different institutions and law enforcement agencies and executive boards that everyone sits on, and all these top 100 lists that everyone sits on. There's always, and that's what makes great television. There's always a need and a want to sit on certain information, to hide certain information, whether it be personal, whether it be financial, whether it be tied to other people, and that's the thing that causes the harm. And I mean, some people see things like, sorry to kind of bring the magnifying glass back a bit, but some people see things like, oh, there's one Illuminati messing with things, and then there's the good side and the bad side. But I seem to think that there's different layers and groups, and it's just not that simple, right? And bringing up psyops is a good point, because these different groups use the psyops, and I don't know, with the just getting back to ground base here with the trucker thing. Like I said, being from this country, it seemed like, wow, there's finally a change in some behavior and some spark of open-mindedness thinking and trying to gather these people. So I surely hope not that it wasn't a psyop, but I mean, back to the comment that anything's possible. And yeah,
I think it's
okay. So
they all
my
are,
take.
unfortunately.
I got one sentence. I think it's that the sentence is, how do we spin this? I could be wrong, but I think in any circumstance, you take any amount of people doing anything and then you make it about what you want it to be about in the newspaper. So there could have actually, and of course, there definitely were people that were legitimate, that were at the protest at the point that it existed. Whether or not it started that way, though. But go ahead, Melissa, you were about to say.
Okay, so for about 10 years before pandemic, there was a yellow scare movement among certain groups. And it was, China's going to take over. China's going to come and they're going to take over all of North America and our freedom and da-da-da-da-da. And that was going on for about 10 years. And it slowly creeped in. And then there were films before pandemic that were essentially like, this is going to be a tech war. This is going to be your data war. There's intel in China where they have billions of people that they've been analyzing, and they have incredible data amounts that they're able to utilize and use for like their technological movements or whatever the hell's happening, security, health, all their things are going to be like altered with AI essentially coming up, right? So it's like, that's the news on the street or whatever, with documentaries and whatever. That was popular right before pandemic. And then you get pandemic. So what happens is, I was never worried, because it's like, what this is essentially just North America monitoring its amount of resources, its billions of whatever people it can get its hands on and their data. It's controlling movements to see what like a free population, what they choose to do and what markets they choose to inflate when there is a crisis, right? And then China did it with their own people and their own collectivist kind of, patterns and their own legal patterns that have been controlling their people for how long. They have data, sure, billions of it, sure, but it's all under one umbrella. Right. So my take was that North America, Europe, everybody else was like, holy shit, like we got to do something, So their approach was just how to analyze all this data to help us have better, data, whatever analysis. I don't know. I don't know these words. You know, it's like I don't know these words, but it's like essentially just like, yeah, and it's psyops, but it's like if no one's getting killed in the psyop, they see it as a victory, I guess. But it's like not like there's not going to be casualties of it, right? In the same way that like, you know, like even things like illegal markets, it's like it's so funny. It's kind of like, oh, of course, like people are still going to be trading people and like trading drugs or whatever illegal, illicit things during the pandemic, even though we're all being locked down. So it basically, if you're moving, you're like a moving target. It's like with your little cell phone pinging, you know, like all along a little, you know, trade union or whatever it's called, like trade track. You're drawing out Silk Roads all over the place. You know what I mean?
Trans-Canada Highway.
Yeah, there's like so many little highways getting drawn during pandemic in North America, as the privy and the knowledge to all of that, all across Europe, all across
corporations made
South
more
America,
money. Corporations made more money during the pandemic than since the World War II. It was the highest.
Like everyone's at home buying shit. Everyone's at home buying shit.
Right, and the prices were up, and they still have essential workers. Yeah.
Plastic companies. I want to see the data, the bank statements on some plastic companies, including who owns a plastic company? Doug Ford's family.
Yeah, it's just like it's just what it is. It's like you want to keep it. You want your fortune. You want to keep it, and you want to keep everybody up under your umbrella.
Okay. And interesting about Doug Ford as well is that if you look at his post-secondary institution, if you look at Wikipedia, by the way, like not a reputable source for a lot of things. I hope I'm not shocking people.
Yeah. It's great for YouTube though, because
I believe it was 2018 is where they renamed it to be a post-secondary institution. So it's like, did he actually go to a post-secondary? Not that it matters, because again, like I'm autodidactic mostly, even though I have multiple degrees, and I'm in my 4th year Carleton University cognitive science degree. And you don't do well when you believe the world is the way I believe it is. When these people are in these institutions are teaching pseudoscience, right? And you're trying to like explain to them in so many different ways with so many different references, you know what I mean? That they're wrong. Yeah. They're like, nope. I'm just not going to look at this. And it's like, no, look at this. They're like, nope. But I'm like, I'm paying you to look at this. I'm like, nope.
Right. Okay. So you feel uncomfortable with people being
inspiring
set up to
the
fail.
Students.
Yeah, you're saying you feel uncomfortable that a large number of people are being set up to fail on purpose. Yes. Yeah, I get it.
That's a lot of. I mean, that is the core of the majority of systems, I think, in this world. Never mind this country. Whether it's legal, whatever, you're being set up to fail. Just like this Rockefeller school system. Classic example. Maybe it's not as relatable as I think it is in my mind, but I remember all growing up before high school. At school, you can't chew gum. You can't do this. You can't chew gum. And I get to high school, you could do whatever the you want. Okay, so getting to high school, as useless as high school was, let's not get into that. But it opened my eyes to how BS the last how many years of my life was. Mostly related to this school system that I was forced.
Once they realize that they're not going to interview you, because there's like what they want is they want to get out of 100 people, maybe 30, but out of 100 people, they want to get like 3 people to interview. Right? This is what it's all about. You're looking for people to collect sugar for you. You teach them how to get homework done so that they can go. Eventually, you don't know the answers to the homework, and they start to figure that out. And when they're okay with it, those are the kids you interview. There's 3 of them. And they're going to be starve crazed. Their parents are from a broken home. You do whatever it takes to make sure that they're going to do the stupid job you want them to do with all this education. But you don't want to interview 9 people.
What?
30 people. That's way too many people to interview. It's a long day. You want to do stuff. If you're owning people running the world, you only want to deal with 3 interviews. You don't want 1 interview because you want choices. 2 is too little, too, because it makes you feel forced. 3 interviews. So you get society down to a point where only 3 people can actually make it through the school. And it's amazing how many you look across the world at places where the majority of the high school fails. They know it before they even get into the high school. And this is something that's been going on since Britain in trade schools, really.
It's been going on for hundreds, if not thousands of years, if you believe in the world like some people do.
Right. Well, actually, take it deeper. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
No, you go.
No, I said sorry.
We were talking about Doug Ford, but I didn't
want to take you off your rant, but we got a comment here in the comment section, folks. So we got from Aurorian, 8:36 p.m. Doug Ford owned the company that printed the COVID signs. Conflict of interest? No. No.
Maybe.
No conflict
maybe.
of interest.
Yeah, but what typeface did they use? Okay, but I want to go deeper into the in.
It wasn't heavy metal. That's for sure.
Let me just spill wine on the table and just set a mitzvah that we're allowed to go for it. So what I think is going on is they're trying to genetically modify us for transhuman super soldiers or incapacitated integrated human circuits for the motherboard. Right, we're going to be plugged in and used for certain things in the system. So I think I've said everything that you're scared to say in a cute sentence. But Dawn, what do you think? You said that you thought the whole let's start with the trucker psyop. Trucker psyop. Tell us about it. What did you mean? You said it was always a psyop.
Oh my goodness. Like, I don't even know where to start with psyops. It's just that like essentially every destabilizing event throughout history, our history, how we're being led, how we're being taught it is it's misleading by design, right? So it keeps us distracted, and it depends on which country you're from. We have different narratives and different scripts, right, from these people, right? This is why even at the higher levels, like languages are different, and they look to be like very like they're like the mirror image of some, or like as above, so below. Like some things are like read one way, and then like not like or read the other way, depending on what country you're from. And then even within countries, there's always going to possibly, for the most part, be like at least one like difference in language, right? So like even with Canada, we have like French and English. Even though there should be like multiple languages, you know what I mean? It's a multicultural society. But then you have like even well, you have Spanish, I guess, in the U.S. and in English, but there's no official language in the U.S. But even in South America, you have like Portuguese and Spanish, right? With Brazil, Portuguese. But anyways, these are, and even with religions and with political parties, with sports teams, and with all these things, these are all things that if we idolize these things, right, or become like, even with religion, right, like we like whenever we like have like predictive patterns, it's easy to like exploit and manipulate us, right? And like we don't even see it coming, right? And so like this was just something that was just like another destabilizing event that they just were looking at how we would respond, how we would react to this like unique environment, and then just to get better at it, right? And it worked because it did distract us very much so. So like I was trying to give a lot of information to like a lot of people about the side effects and the like even in the local area, right? And like people that I've known and worked with for many years were just like refusing to look at it because it was a lot, right? And I get it, and it was because there's like not a lot they can do, right? And people have families and things like that. But anyways, I'm going on these tangents, but they're all staged and planned at the higher levels, right? So even though people actually die, and it's crazy, you know what I mean? These are all things that are that these people that we're supposed to trust, that they're creating. So even with 9/11. Can I talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
It's allegedly a destabilizing event, right? But there was training.
I heard it was an inside joke.
Yeah. There was training being done that very day, in and around that very time. You know what I mean? There was training scenarios being done. And so it could be very confusing when you're on like these various different like communication means, right? When you're talking and communicating with like so many different people, right? So even with me as an infantry officer, I did a lot of coordination with multiple different assets, right? And so I had to be on various different communication platforms. And so it gets confusing, right? Unless you're like, you're on it and you know things that are being done. And so people didn't know there were training events happening. Just the engineering designs too of the towers as well, right? Like I'm not an engineer or anything like that, you know what I mean? But it's like, it looks like there had to be like multiple detonations in multiple areas for the structure to be able to like collapse. And then
they
even,
were
like, the seventh
built
tower
to withstand worse than that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you just gotta be like a freaking plane, and then with the Pentagon, okay, there's a plane that crashed. Where's the plane?
The insurance claim that was taken out the day before.
Like, come on, people. Like it's just like, but even with like and sorry, I get passionate about this stuff because like it's always stuff that's censored. And then people are character assassinated, and I get like my videos deleted, and people like don't like it's, so it is what it is. But like it's common sense, right? It's like people were even reporting on the news things that happened, you know, and then they backtracked on it and stuff like that as well. And so I'm sharing these videos with people that are whatever, and it's just frustrating. So like that's why I'm on.
I love that. It's so common. How
come on, people. And then there were how many people of a certain group? I don't want to create any hate for any groups because like just extremists, you know what I mean? Like that need like love and peace in their lives, you know what I mean? And I send them love and I want them to be well, but they even warned off certain people so that they weren't even there, you know what I mean? When like so many people were
Right. There's a
Killed.
cultist, there's a cultist, and then there's statists. And I think that, you know, people confuse that with religion a lot of the time because it's so easy to, and this is the thing, throughout history, people have used human shields, human body shields, hostages, really. So imagine keeping an entire people hostage in order to get away with things, right? So
The
that's
moon
a big
landings. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, right. I heard that it was shot on I heard
Anyway.
Kubrick shot the moon landing, but it was shot on location, so it cost a lot to do. What do you think?
What was shot on location?
The moon landing. He had to shoot because it was Kubrick shot, but he wanted to look real. You know, I don't know. Never mind.
That's Kubrick though. That's just Kubrick. Let's not blame him for that.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. What do you think?
It looked like there was like multiple different like light sources and from different areas in some of these photos.
Dude, but that's the thing. I feel like if the moon landing was faked, then we would have gotten Canada to help us do it, right? Because you know, you guys make all of our movies. Yeah. So tell us the story.
No, I already feel like nervous. Like a lot of people tell me because again, I can talk to people like in all different organizations, but like, first of all, how are you still alive?
Well, let me back up. Let me back up what you're saying for a second, then, and make people feel better. If you've read the European
report comes to mind, but anyway.
All right. If you've read European Scientific Journal concludes that 9/11 was a controlled demolition back in 2016, and you know that the European Scientific Journal concluded this. It's already common sense. Europhysics News noted bears repeating that the fires have never caused the total collapse of steel frame high-rise before or since 9/11. Did we witness an unprecedented event 3 times over? This is not written by conspiracy theorists. This is written by physics professors, scientists, engineers using simulation softwares and aware buildings around the world that have done this as well. The other idea is that if there were systems built into it, it's quite possible they were built into it to begin with. You know, we talked about, there's retrofitting.
Cool.
Imagine if you built the entire building for the purpose that eventually, if you needed to take it down, you could take it down. It was already wired to be done, right? I mean, theoretically, it could be done. And there's a lot of evidence that they had set it up so that they could be installed later if they ever did take the building down.
Cool.
So,
but like allow people to excavate or like be able to leave, exit.
Right. That would be nice.
Just do that. That's all I'm asking, right? Is just don't needlessly, because again, I've been to war, I've lost people in war, and I've lost people to suicide. And again, it's not even just people in the military, it's all different organizations. We all work together, right? And we all want to do well for people. And like when I know people personally that have died, and I've even been, you know what I mean, shot at, and like all this stuff, you know what I mean? It's just, it frustrates me when like people are not even looking at the information people like me are trying to share with them, and we're getting dismissed and character assassinated. And it's just, I don't know. I'm just going to keep at it. So again, like I send love anyways.
New York monolith. What's it called again? The building, this guy here in New York. There's right next to Twin Towers. There's this building here.
Yeah.
And it's right, and it didn't fall. It was right next to it. You know what I'm talking about?
It's it's looking at the map of what like if you look at the bird eye view of what damage was done, it's like, oh yeah, that was planned. That was Oh, what's this? What the heck is that?
Proposing new sinuous Sarko style.
It would be nice if we got back to like our old ancient tech, like designs and infrastructure that we used to have that predated all this prefab stuff that we are using now.
Oh my God, I deeply want to go into Tartarian architecture, and we should definitely do it.
Maybe no.
Well, we'll do it. You know what? This isn't the first or the last. This is just part of life. But let's go Canada Kubrick for a second, because I think it'd be ridiculous not to. What do you got about Canada involved with the moon landing? Because it's so obvious. Come on, it's who the hell else could have possibly?
Well,
French? No.
I mean, this is all just based on my own my own assumptions, right? Based on my own reality tunnels, my own my own opinions, right? And so just because again, this is something that happened in the 70s or whatever it was. I just believe that these actronauts or astronauts, NOTS, are people that unfortunately are misled and deceived, and they go through because even people that I know personally, right, that go through aerospace engineering and stuff like that, and they really do believe that that they're being taught, you know what I mean, the reality of the world, right, about space and planets and all these things, you know what I mean? It just breaks my heart, even about energy and how electricity functions and energy, and how it's not satellites in space, people, it's ground towers, and anyway, and then I could go on lists, right? But
I mean,
But
it's
yeah,
good
so,
for
like,
it's good
we
for some
all-
people, even if you don't accept already the answer. To
But it
point out the
transcends-
problems is good. If we point out all the problems, that there are a lot of things that don't make sense about NASA's stories, right? Everyone can agree with that, whether or not they're flat earthers or Fiat earthers. I think yours is an Italian car, you know. But if you don't think that the world's round, there's something to that, right?
Right.
But it's more about NASA is called a group that's to deceive. You know,
But it's
we
at the
have-
higher levels, though, and that's what I mean. So,
Look
like, a lot of
who's
people that are
formed
even part of
NASA.
NASA and that are part of these other organizations, they do honestly like believe that that this stuff is all real, and this is what like kind of like breaks my heart. And then it's when they get to the higher levels of the training, or they like go off, you know what I mean, and they go missing, you know what I mean, or off the grid or whatever you want to call it for a few months. They get back on, and then their social media is controlled. There's like no more access to these people. So even people that I've tried to like warn off in advance for like going into these like certain like expeditions even or certain groups, like they don't want to hear this, or I got like it was too late or whatever, or like they just think I sound crazy because like I know this sounds nuts, but it's not.
I mean,
nuts.
this is a car. This is a Matchbox car. It's a Lada 128, but it's made of steel, right? And it can go a lot of places, but it's not for space. Okay. Now this is where did it
Oh
go?
yeah, we put a vehicle in space too. Like what?
This is a vehicle in space. Yeah, well, the buggy too, but this is a vehicle made out of the popcorn microwavable wrapping, and it's supposed to be way stronger.
50 pop, baby.
And then this is the vehicle. And who needs that Fiat when you've got this thing? Which I've seen this vehicle before. Let me see if I can find Jib, Wayne, Dolly.
This piece of shit.
Do they have a video of it with wheels? There you go. Here's what it looks like in studios when you make a movie. You've got these little things that wheel around the crane jib. You can wheel this around and you can move. So you can get really perfect shots, right? So it looks very similar. The old 60s expensive heavy one looks very similar to this vehicle.
That looks like a thing you go on the railroad tracks and you're like,
yeah. Also, you can see the wire across the flag and stuff like that. Like, and there's some stuff going on. But
I love how people, when you bring up the flag, I love how they take that wire or that top pole there as a reason to throw it back in your face. And they're like, well, there's a pole there. And it's like, oh,
yeah.
so you noticed it too, you idiot.
Yeah.
Really?
Morons. And for the record, not that my dad would watch anything I do, but my dad tried pulling that shit on me. That's how fucking dumb my dad is.
Well, I mean, it's amazing because they use the arguments that, that they accept that there's a flaw there, but therefore the answer is that things are different in space because it's the Twilight. Didn't you watch the Twilight Zone? I mean,
I didn't. Aldrin admitted it. Like to us,
but
an 8-year-old girl when he was drunk, you're like, you know what I mean, and like, and these are just things that they're making mistakes, right? Or maybe it's just like a moment of honesty. I don't even know, but and even cosmonauts and astronauts from like other countries are saying this, right? Like they're debunking this stuff like all over the place. But Canada is very censored, right? And so like we were deceived to think that we're not. So like I'm gonna, for example, like on a VPN. And I connect from different countries, right? And I see the censorship, and I make comparisons, right? And we just, it's meant to like mislead us. And anyway, there he is. There you go. that one.
Oh man, it's pretty adorable. We never did. We didn't really do it. Yeah, that was pretty weird. That
is that?
Oh yeah, it was just weird.
Is that the video where he says that?
Yep. Have you seen this video?
It's been.
What about that Russian cosmonaut?
It looks familiar.
Like there's a few, but
I'm not gonna.
Oh, he says it. He says it to a little girl.
She's like, why haven't we been to the moon in such a long time? And he looks at her and he's like, that's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know why, but I think I know why, because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, then it's nice to know why it didn't happen so that we in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep doing.
That's kind of what he's
money's
saying
a good
right
thing. And then he says money's a good thing.
Right?
What the heck?
That's
It's
verbatim.
weird when you get these moments of like their brainwash. They didn't take their brainwash. I mean, you see with Joe Biden every freaking press conference where it's like, oh, he didn't take his brainwash pill. He didn't take his MK.
Oh, I think
that's
people
controlled
like
opposition. That's
People
a
like
deliberate
telling little girls.
phased out. Sorry,
They
I
like
keep on
they
cutting
like
you off.
no, they like
Oh, no,
telling
no.
6-year-old. They like telling 6-year-old girls the truth because they're like, haha, look, nobody's gonna be able to do
Ice
anything.
cream.
Yeah, it'll make her crazy. And
Ice
yeah,
cream.
right, exactly. Well, I don't know. I don't want to really do the maps yet. We shouldn't talk about handkerchiefs that are map related yet. But that's not a bad thing. I mean, it is a bad thing that they do it. I just want to be careful with the stream. But how about Tartaria? Do you want to do Tartarian architecture in Canada? Any thoughts on this? So if you look at Montreal architecture, and I think you probably have better examples because there's things in Ottawa as well. But I
Yeah.
haven't
I post
really.
their stuff too every now and then.
Maybe old Quebec too.
And the
Right.
Gaspésie, the
Dude,
Gaspé coast where Jacques Cartier first landed, and there's like
Jacques
Côte
Cartier!
d'Artois that's there as well, the 1532, 34, whatever. But again, this is history, and there were people that were there way before that, and they just
I can't spell.
established and founded these places.
How am I spelling that?
Did
Did you say
like this, and then you're French because you talk like this, and that's just how it goes.
I don't want to look too much at my screen so that people see my face. But like, what are you? I don't see what you're typing, Andreas.
I don't know how to spell. You said the Cartier coast, Caspier coast. What was it?
Gaspé, Gaspe. It's like an accent aigu, but you could just put in like Gaspésie.
Gaspian.
And that's Percy Rock.
Gaspian.
So this is where they're trying to claim that in like the early 1500s, and then there was John Cabot in the 1400s, but like where we like it settled and colonized first and stuff like that. It's such a joke, and even that's an old tree likely, or some kind of like a petrified, whatever ancient being of sorts, in my humble opinion. But yeah, when they came here again, it was like it was through the Gaspésie first, and then as you go through the Baie de Chaleur and the St. Lawrence River, then you get up towards the Montreal area, and then Ottawa, and then like more west. But anyways, we were established in the obviously in the west and the north, like way before we were being led to believe as well, and it's lost on us.
Yeah, I mean, so what do you think about this idea? So that there were already existing, it wasn't just teepees in the snow, right? Like, what do you think was going on in Canada before?
That's so insulting too, and this is what I fully believe that like there's like so much that can be positive that can be taken out of so many different cultures and religions, and I like it depends on the person in my humble opinion, but this is just like during like different like cycles of life. For example, like there's sometimes people live in more austere conditions, whether it be because of like natural or man-made disasters or events that happen, destabilization events. And then people have to essentially start from scratch, right? And like they're surviving with like what they have in the environment there, right? Because like within 24 hours, I'm a primitive survivalist too. Like you need to find sources of water and heat and shelter, et cetera, and like air, obviously, and all that other stuff within a short period of time, and then build from there, and then like progress your society, et cetera, establish rules. But there's also been times, right, where that predate like with the teepees and stuff like that. Again, like using the materials that were at hand. They like there's these castles and like these large these rooms of like again it's like these large buildings of sorts, like all over the place, and like and forts like these star forts and stuff like that. It's all over the place, and we're being told that they were built like a lot like later than they were, obviously, and then people that are taking them over and stuff like that, again, like they're lying to us about like the culture, these societies and stuff like that. But luckily with teepees, I talk a lot, oh my goodness, but like within like the culture, they're able to, at least with the people I've talked to, is right. I mean, they keep the traditions within the art, right? So even within the teepees, like in a lot of different areas, they actually they have stories within them, and so in each teepee represents like a different story in like some different like areas here, and so like that was a way of preserving like lost history and stuff like that as well. And so you'll even see like different different races or whatever you want to call it of species, even though I believe we're all just like the human race, but like that predate like our what we're being told, and with all the pseudoscience that's being fed to us, it's just so annoying. But
it's a good point.
So I've gone on so many tangents.
No, it's a good point though, because the idea in some of the earliest research we did on the Scythian and Tartarian relationships is that there were nomadic traders that would go between places, and this led to the maritime and the land powers, like the sea power and the land power. But the land powers eventually had to learn how to seasonally have the same cycles going from summer to winter in different places and everything. But you have these huge caravans that could bring their yurts. And this is in Genghis Khan's Eastern Asia. This is in North America as well. Yeah, yurts are great. Yeah, right. And they're clean in a weird way, because like you can always move it, clean it. Every time you move it, you have to clean it out. So you know, I feel like if you live, this is a thing that they found that people that lived in dingy castles in Europe would get sick, right? Because they didn't have the cleanliness or the mobility and the warmth of a 1-story yurt or whatever. So teepees do have a logic to them. But yeah, the idea of the ruins is interesting. So you're saying that there was a society that collapsed basically, and then people showed up afterwards, which tends to be a good, yeah. So how does that work? What do you think? How did it collapse?
Well, I mean, it could either be natural and or man-made destabilization events that happen that just make it where there could be like mud floods or EMP type events that transcend our capabilities now, right? Because we've had advanced technologies as well that predate what we're being told, and there's just way too much evidence and proof within these old ruins and structures that are not able to be blown up anymore or covered over, or like the water they're trying to they try to flood out different areas too, or we've already cut down a lot of trees, right? But especially the older ones, like the bigger ones, like the Seven Sisters in BC, like the Rocky Mountains, and but even like
Seven Sisters, that's what they're called. Whoa! You know the Seven Sisters are interesting also because of the Freemasonic club. You know, the Seven Sisters, the Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson were in a French occult group where they were the Seven Sisters. But also related to the Zodiac, of course, you know.
Of course. And then you've got like the Golden Dawn, like the Hermetic Orders. You've got like the Freemasons. You've got the Rosicrucians. Like there's so many different, like anyway.
Man, so I mean, but no.
Keep going, girl.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm wondering, what do you think about volcanoes being used as power plants and that kind of thing?
Well, I mean, there's some theories that would suggest possibly that these appear to be like structures that are man-made, more man-made than we're being led to believe, possibly. Or it could be like, maybe it's like, and some cultures do believe that this possibly like ant people that were from like various areas too. And I see like ant farms too, like they build up these these sand piles or whatever you want to call it, that's above ground, and it's almost like a pyramid or what do you want to call it, or a tornado or whatever.
Dude, ant people is huge. So I did a thing with Cynthia Sue Larson, which was all on the ant people and the genetic modification. American Time Machine Kurt's made it. We're just getting into ant people, Kurt. I'm glad you're here.
Hopi Tribe, Arizona, Grand Canyon.
My boy.
Hopi Tribe.
Hi, Jordan. Good to see you.
What's up, bro?
What do you think about worshiping ant people? A lot of these tribes have this idea of Kokopelli, and you know, Kokopelli is a great one, Kokopelli, because people think he's just this musician, but that's not a flute, that's a mandible, because it's an insect, and he lives underground and everything. So the idea that there's these survivors living underground from this insectoid species that survived a cataclysm from earthquake technology, right? What do you got?
I've never heard of that before.
Oh my God, I could go.
So I'm Googling it right now.
So like the Hopi tribe do talk a lot about like ant people, especially in the Grand Canyon area. And this is the areas where I do believe, or theories would suggest that these are old ancient like trees that were cut down in those areas. And there's even like petrified bats, right? That are tree bats that are in these caves. I'm like, I wonder where these came from. They were trees. But anyway, sorry. But volcanoes, I just wanted to get back on that point too before I go on the ant stuff. Like these are possibly like man-made as well, and resources like waste materials like accumulated in these areas, and then because of that, like possibly something that just like were these like events and these like materials and things like just like combining together is what caused these eruptions and things like that during certain periods of time. But I don't know. Again, these are just like possible like theories.
Right. I mean, it's interesting. You look at the Islamic alchemy. I've been looking at that recently, and the connections there to building a fusion reactor underground is huge, because the idea that they would use the natural resources that were forced together underground and the earth would turn these things into gold. Do you guys know about Ninov, who invented element 118?
118.
This is a fun story because this is like the guy.
I'm sorry. Oh,
go ahead. No, go ahead. Yeah, I could talk about element 118 in a second. I swear it's not as important as it sounds. Keep going.
Before I forgot, just because with the ant people and like underground tunneling systems and stuff like that, so there's also like advanced cities, and there's also like there's more underground tunneling systems and cities and infrastructure than above ground even, right? And so like this is like a lot of people don't know this either, right? And so
yeah, I mean, it's crazy when you look into the underground dumb cities, because they're everywhere and all over the world, and they're huge. And they're very Resident Evil umbrella corporation. Like you can play basketball, you can go to the park. There's 40,000 people living in the one near NORAD. Actually, NORAD I think has 40,000 people living in underground in Colorado. There's a whole other one in Colorado that's secret, that's even bigger. And there's even, there's tons more across the world, especially in cold places apparently, but also the desert. Yeah, I mean, you can see the obsession with ants. I think Utah is a good spot for one of the main entrances in Provo and Salt Lake City. The idea is underneath the mall in Salt Lake City, there's like 3 or 4 extra stories. People talk about all kinds of weird stuff going on there. I'm going to just really quickly say this because it's funny to me. So Ninov, Bulgarian guy, he used to love going to get carbonara Italian pastas in his one Dusseldorf town in Germany, and he would just
carbonara.
Yeah, funny. That's a fun thing to do. But he went and he was working for not Dubna, the Russian one, but the Scandinavian SLS or whatever, one of the chemical companies. He decided that after discovering 2 or 3 elements, that he should get a better job at Berkeley, because Berkeley, Berkeleyum, Californium, they were discovering all the elements. And in 1999, in April, while everyone was out of the office, he's like, dude, I discovered element 118. And it's super easy to make. And then all these other labs tried to copy it, and then they couldn't do it for a year. And he's like, it's all, a conspiracy against me. And he'd faked elements. And so it's one of the examples of where, for years, people were going under the assertion that this stuff was true because it was being published by mainstream science. And then simultaneously in Sweden, someone had actually discovered element 118. But the Soviet Union and the United States wouldn't recognize it for fear that then people would know how to actually build this stuff. Right. And so there's a lot of stuff. And so here's the question. How do you build 118? How do you build elements at the end of the rail? Well, you could build this crazy mechanical watch that shoots particles out of a photon gun, or you could use a volcano, right? Because in a few of these, and that is the thing. We found examples of almost all
the periodic table. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I mean, even with the periodic table with the elements, right? There's a lot of hidden coding, obviously, in that. Even with the atomic masses and the like all of that stuff, and even like where they belong on the freaking chart or diagram, however you want to explain it, right? And so and this is why, I believe that even that too is created and designed by the same people that at the top ends, like whatever you want to call them, like the steering committees or the elitists or whatever, they use these as a way too, where where it transcends language, like symbols, right? Like that they're universal essentially, and so especially in these occult groups, and right. And so these as well, a lot of these elements, right? They're I can't swear on here, but it's so hard, but they're fake, right? You know what I mean? And it's like whatever, and it's just misleading,
right? Yeah, the picture of little balls and cherries, like it's mistletoe, always offended me. I was
all the occult, ode to the Greek mythology with Apollo. You know what I mean? Like the sun worship stuff that's going on, and the geocentric versus heliocentric models that they're using. A lot of the imaging and all the they like to play with us, that's for sure.
Right. I mean, the real concern to me when you explain an atom, because the thing is, there is a lot of truth in what they're saying, but
yes,
it's all hidden and disguised.
Yes.
And the biggest issue, I think, is monadicism. I don't know if this is total tangent, but monads, monad. The idea of
nomad.
No, monad is philosophy. There we go. Monad is the idea basically that things are made up of little grains. So it's like everything's particles, but particles.
Oh my God, square, circle, come on.
Wow.
Right.
Anyway.
But this is something that is essentially wrong, but in a sense, you could kind of use it as a philosophical concept. You could say the human is one, right? Like you are a person. So that is a particular thing, right? But it's made up of so many things. And those things are really like waves mostly. It's so it's spirit, breath, and stardust that are interacting together. But yeah, so ant people. The thing about ant people that is interesting to me, aside from the fact that they'd be super strong, because an ant the size of your hand could carry your car off, especially if it was a Fiat. Maybe a big hand could carry an SUV. But they're big power in an ant.
Well, and 7 times their body weight or something like that they can lift, or
more. Yeah, definitely more
11,
than that.
Or 1 million.
Was it
ant
body weight lift? I thought it was 1,000. I forget what.
I don't know.
5,000 times.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
So being an ant is the way to go. And so Cynthia Stu Larson had done a talk, several that we've talked about, where in the 80s and early 90s, in her life, she's done all kinds of crazy stuff. She was talking to AI in the 60s through the telephone that had been conversing from machines in the future that are connected by military to an AI that's able to travel back in time through transceiver spots through CERN in 1989 to NORAD or something in 1973. It goes back, and then the machines can connect with these transceiver points. So she interacted with them as a kid and continues on. And she's a physics professor at Berkeley, or she's gone to Berkeley. I forget now. She does the reality shift conference. But she talked about in the 80s, she was doing waking remote viewing sessions with ant people for the purpose of genetically modifying the next generation of humans to be more successful as the transition period is coming. Because there's so many of these.
Doing this. Oh my God. Sorry.
No. Yeah.
We just keep doing it. We've been genetically modifying humans, like even with Frankenstein, right? Like even in old like books, literature, like even nursery rhymes and stuff like that. Like they like we've been trying to genetically alter humans now, like and so that there's natural and man-made like evolution as well, right? With humans and humanity and any species, and we evolved like also dependent on our environment too, right? So like if I was underground for a long period of time, like I would evolve because like based on that, I wouldn't have a tan, for example, right? Because I wouldn't have that exposure to the sun, and I would have to like supplement with like vitamin D and other micronutrients in order to get like to counteract, you know what I mean, like what I'm like deficient in because of like not being in this like natural environment. But we've been doing that, right? And like we're hiding people, like, or possibly, you know what I mean, in different areas of the world, and then doing research and experimentations at all different levels in all different areas, right? Like Camp X and like Area 51 and all this stuff, right? And so there's natural and man-made is what I'm talking about, like altering.
I mean, there's definitely no coincidence that Logan,
possibly
from X-Band, is from British Columbia, right? Or is he from? Where's he from?
Yeah, British Columbia, I thought.
Yeah, he's definitely Canadian. And so the idea of the Canadian military at Camp X mutating or finding potentially mutagent humans, cool. Let's call it.
Steel?
Yeah,
well, they added the better Logan, man.
If you haven't, Logan Origin. If you haven't seen the comic book, I think there's a movie now, and I haven't seen myself. But in the origin story, he's just this like British Columbian kid who's a Wolverine guy. Like he has claws that come out, but then the military take out his claws. They declaw him and they add adamantium to him.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's the Canadian. Adam. There you go. So there's the Lilith kind of quality there too, and he forgets himself. He doesn't remember who he is. It's total MK Ultra. It's very.
Yep.
What's the one in Canada where they the lady has her memories erased and they have her voice like telling her over and over again, just talking to her?
I'm in a different like underground community, so it could be a few people. So like I don't want to say anything on mainstream media. So but it happens. You're right. Like it like we have these like these places. That even documented, right? Like
Melissa made it back. Like your internet was dead. We're glad you made it.
That was awful.
Where we essentially MK Ultra people here, even in Canada, like in multiple different areas, like all over the place, right? And where like we were giving therapeutics, we were like and then doing like mind altering like testing, just like the U.S. Like where we always have been like more involved, obviously with like the U.S. than we're being led to believe, because even at the higher levels, they don't care. It's not even about even the geographic location or what language you speak or what skin color you. It's none of that stuff. It's all about this occult group that they know about these resets that happen every 138 years or whatever. But anyway.
I like that. Every 100 so years, 130 so years.
I don't know.
So in that intelligence field you're in, do they like look at this kind of thing, or you have to be like
you'd hope so, you know what I mean? But
but maybe not your department, but there's another maybe
Oh
department.
my God, is there a Canadian X-Files?
There are people that do look.
Yeah.
I mean, we have like our organizations in Canada, like it's CSIS and CSEC and Global Affairs Canada. Anyway, they're great. They're called Global Affairs, but I've worked with them, and I was the one that was the coordinator for even recently before the pandemic for their standing rapid deployment team courses, where they respond to like natural and man-made disasters and all over the place and represent Canada. And again, so I know because I work with so many different people in so many different fields that like if they knew better, they would do better.
Right.
But we have like all this brainwashing going on, these forced inoculations on people that are healthy and young, and like it's not required. And it's just so frustrating that Yeah, and so like there are people that know about this. It's a very select few that in my industry overall, like the high level, like security analysts with top secret government clearance, like either you don't last long because you go missing, or you just like get, it's like there's a lot of addiction to and stuff like that, and like a lot of like anyways, but
Yeah, there's not like
what can
rewards
people
or
do,
something.
right? Like
Yeah.
like a lot of people like that I know,
Sounds
right?
like the
we're trying to
nonprofit
share-
sector.
but even that at the higher levels, but it's the same people that manage and control those, and they're a front for human trafficking. Sorry, Andreas, I could go on for like so many things I don't even know, but
This is all
but
legit.
people are
and big
people
picture
should know
human
about it.
trafficking. What's that all about? Just untraced money, I guess, untrackable money or something. Revenue
I mean,
streams.
we do.
Yeah.
I mean, we do money laundering and stuff like that as well, but like not to the
Yeah.
level of the U.S. with like even with the Ukraine with the money laundering that they were doing in Afghanistan during wars and stuff like that too. That's usually where they hide like the transfer of wealth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, where were we going with this stuff? Yeah, there are people in government that are tracking some of this stuff at certain levels, but it's so compartmentalized, and they don't communicate with each other as much as they should be, and people feel like they need to hide things from others. And there's like
Right.
power in knowledge, right? And when people think that like what knowledge they have like might give them an advantage or an edge, like they exploit that, right? And I feel like we should be more transparent because we owe it to humanity essentially, and to like to the world, like, you know what I mean, to be more honest, right? Because like human beings, right, like if we want to like manage and mitigate things like population control and like all this division and hatred and like all this stuff, we literally need to start like being more honest and risking our lives trying to shed this information out, and risk being character assassinated and looking insane about talking about this stuff to get it out there. Like, I don't know.
I know they just don't want people like flared up, they need people educated, but like not
emotional,
ready to like, be emotional and like freak out. And they have that whole British thing too, that the keep calm, carry on sort of theology. Yeah, it's just keep calm, carry on. It's just like it's not your business right now, and everything's going all right for you. So don't cause a problem, and just keep going on and on
Don't
and
rock
on.
the boat. Don't rock the
don't rock
boat.
the
That's
boat.
always it. Don't rock the boat. That we see that in every cop show.
So it's like it's hard to make a judgment call on it when it's like I don't have all the intel, right? So it's like I don't know if it's like, is it good to speak out, or is it sort of like keep calm, carry on, mind your own business sort of thing? Because on the street, that's the culture. It's like mind your own fucking business as much as you can, And so I'm assuming that on the global scale, that like is the same thing,
Well, if we look at what happened in Europe in like in the early 1900s, like that even predated like the 1940s. Yeah. There was a lot of like misinformation that was and campaigns that were going on, specifically in Europe as a whole, right? That were painting and dividing people against each other. So then you had Germany, right? That was like what they were calling like far right, and they were, and it was very extreme. But like even Adolf Hitler, right? Like he, like his party, like that he developed, it was a socialist party in like the late 1920s. And then when he won, like it was under a minority government, but it was liberal, right? And all of the rest of Europe was socialist communist during that time. And most of the atrocities and most of the concentration camps and all of this stuff that like they were in other areas like Austria, et cetera, right? And this is where people like kind of knew what was going on, and they were enforcing it, they were enabling it, and they were blaming it on other people while
blaming.
There were whole ass citizens, right? We're like watching this stuff happen and letting it. And for me, I'm like, not here, not now. I'm gonna learn from history, right?
Well, there's like counter movements, and it's like the compassion movement is a big movement. It's like lead with compassion, be yourself. Like have compassion for yourself, have compassion for others. It's like a healthier way of empathizing and acting. It's like that's the movement that's sort of being ushered in intelligence wise, like in terms of not global, but national sort of agenda in that department. So they want teachers
inside Canada's top secret $1 billion spy palace.
Agenda of compassion, So it's like all people in the health sector are learning about compassionate care, client-centered care. All people in, different departments are learning about this other field, so
this is the most base building.
It's all working together, and I think
agreed.
And it's like it's okay actually, because I don't really mind the compassion stuff. It's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, like.
Dude,
but at the same time, maybe
it's
a whole generation that's going to be complicit in something that causes its own ricochet, right? So,
and we've done this before, right? Because How many
generation.
pandemics have we had like throughout history, right? Like even like Marcus, or like,
Yeah.
I think we're being led to believe these people existed. Again, the jury's out. I wasn't there, but yeah, like we've gone through strife and like these events before, and like we're just being misled into believing this is something that it's really not, right? It's not new. It's not novel. Like the coronavirus was not new or novel. Neither was the mRNA therapeutics that were like imposed, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. Highly recommended.
Yeah. Exactly. It's kind of like, why now? Why this? Yeah. There's questions like that for sure.
Dude, all these almost $1 billion for Canada's spy CSEC compound, and you just saw it. Was it the CM? The spy palace, which is crazy. Come on, go back to that. The Canada's top secret $1 billion spy palace. There's several billion-dollar spy palaces. Yeah.
What's that thing where it's like they can listen to what you're talking about now? They don't even need to have a bug in your house. They can just like listen off windows, and then there's like all these cities that are just like glass cities and stuff.
Audacity? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah.
There's like special like audio reading things that they can like just like point this laser at windows and then like hear everything inside or something.
Yeah. Let's see.
Interesting.
It's so cool. It's like, whoa, all right.
Yeah, it's so cool how they're screwing us over.
I mean, maybe where human beings went wrong was leaving the cave. Okay, maybe you should have left the cave. You know.
Have you guys ever seen the video? So this is like a long time. I remember I actually used this software. I sent them and asked them for access to the GitHub. They didn't have a GitHub, so eventually I got them to send me the code. So I have this, but. Marietta Little Lamb was like, so extracting audio from visual information. Algorithm recovers speech from vibrations of a potato chip bag filmed through soundproof glass. And here's the video. Let me just pull it up for you. And so what happens is the visual microphone, the results in the video, best experience through headphones. You're not gonna be able to hear it. So I'll just skip ahead.
What can you share with us?
Well, you can just see this is what a camera.
I'm gonna write this.
This is what a video would see. This is what a computer would see about audio. Audio is a thing to look at. So when the camera's pointed at the bag and the bag reverberates with the sound waves, it records the reverberations and it knows what frequencies are likely to be produced from that. And it's trained on audio. So it's able to pick up with a pretty reasonable, this is back in 2014. So I'm sure by now it's even better. I mean, they can take a video. Like right now, they can take the videos they have of us and they can see the room behind us. They can use the algorithm to see the reflection of the equipment in the room behind you using the light on your face.
Oh, that's so exciting.
And then even like take people out or like objects out of like different areas too, and then like even have like the background like a fully replaced, I guess. Like the anyway.
Here's an image sent with light, so they can record.
Teddy bear. Oh.
What is this? I missed it. What?
Oh, I was just like, can they see all this fiber art that I have behind me? Is it a teddy bear and this little owl? Whoa!
Oh, I love owls.
Whoa, owl! Trigger!
Owl. Trigger! Yeah, be careful.
I know. Why is it triggery? What do you guys think?
No, I was just kidding. But owls are cool.
I mean, Bohemian Grove, Moloch.
Yeah, that's the thing. They do like kids and like on fire there, but
I won't let them take it. They can't take the owl from me. How about that?
But here's the other one from 10 years ago, or 12 years ago, a time when most government agencies are cutting and slashing. A little-known spy agency led by a Rhodes Scholar is on the envy of Ottawa for its planned $1 billion headquarters. So this one already happened, and it's the triangular one. But I mean, it's interesting connecting to the Rhodes Scholarship. What do you think about the Cecil Rhodes Scholarship and Cecil Rhodes? Anybody?
Just give me 1 second.
The new one?
Rhodes Scholarship is interesting because Cecil Rhodes was one of the first guys to be like, yeah, there's a world conspiracy and we got to have one and we're in charge of it. And thank God. And look what we can do with that. And we're going to save the world. And I'm going to, Cecil Rhodes, De Beer, diamonds, monopolization, blood diamonds, destroying of Africa, carving it up in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe, all of the states where they take a tribe and they put a line right down the middle of the tribe. And then they put two tribes that hate each other in one state. That is all Rhodes. Rhodes Scholarships, though, I mean, Bill Clinton was on the Rhodes Scholarship. It's one of the most important organizations to connect and educate these characters that are supposed to play and act in the world stage.
Wow.
Bringing Rhodes
Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm back on the screen. Sorry, I was looking at the my gematria calculator because like I do look at that app. It's from Decode the Reality. Anyways, I don't mean to plug people, but like it shows like Bible stuff, like number stuff.
Which one is it? I'll pull it up. What is it?
The gematria calculator.
Just .com, gematrix.com or gematria calculator.
I can just. I don't know why I'm saying this out loud.
Gematria calculator.us.
So I have so many different browsers up right now that like I just have to go back to it. So I'll just give.
Oh, if you find it, then you can stream it too. What's up, Bernie's in the house?
God. So I'll try this. I'm so bad with technology. Like I was saying before we got on, like I'm on Rumble a little bit now, only because like I'm always deleted, obviously. But like even the video that I tried to post yesterday, it's upside down because I don't know how to like turn it over. So like
I thought that was like an artistic choice. I was like, whoa, I get it. Because if you lived on a globe, you'd be upside down like a bat.
We're not on a globe. We're not on a globe.
Hilarious.
We're not on a globe.
I thought you were just being clever.
Sorry.
Oh, here's the calculator thing. Let me pull it up. Okay, 1 second. There we go. Okay, yeah, no, this is it. Wait, which book is it? Let me pull back. What you got? Flatlantis
by Eric Dubé. It's very interesting. Alex Gleason is also very interesting books. He's got some interesting books.
We'll lure him in here eventually. It'll happen. The cipher is word short. What do you think about the Gematrinator? What do you do with this?
I keep on cutting you off. I'm so sorry.
No. I
also live alone, so I don't talk to people like all day. Like, and sometimes it's.
I don't make it clear when I'm done with my question, and I have weird pauses. I'm all right with it. You know what I mean? So.
And this is my first like live anything, right? So I'm so anxious about this. But yeah, so if you look at gematria, like just like what I do is like I just look at different events, or I look at different numbers, or I just look at different names. And then I see if there's any kind of like sacred numerology that pops out at me that's like these like sequence of events or these like these sequential numbers like that. You know what I mean? that
put in
that are part of like different organizations, right? So like I know who is doing what, right? So like this is where like when you're a high level security analyst, like you should be going down these rabbit holes, right? You should be like looking and exploring what you think are conspiracy theories and see where people are coming from, right? And then doing your own research and exploration on your own, right? With your own freaking eyes, with your own feet, like not just reading things because books can be misleading too, right? Like anyway.
I mean, there's I wish I could find the thing algorithm, but the AI conspiracy theorist algorithm NSA works on, and so what they found is that AI is able to make connections between things. That's the whole idea, and so it can find patterns in places that humans can't. Some humans can find those patterns, but usually we arrest and commit those people to asylums. So AI is the only one with the monopoly being allowed to make these weird connections between things. Like, hey, did you realize, for instance, that every time Jack Posobiec posts on something, someone in, Afghanistan gets upset, and then there's a terrorist attack or something here. I mean, these little connections that it's not necessarily Jack's fault. I love Jack. He's great at the base, but there might be some sort of causality and RT posting back and forth. And
I think I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Yeah.
I love these kind of chart things. What are they called with the little bubbles and then the
oh my god! I wish I could find. Was it the Reddit graph?
But am I allowed to elaborate on the? So there's numerology or gematria or ancient coding and like even like the Bible, which is also like Taurus or toroidal fields. Like there's so many different occult groups that have like different messaging and different ways of communicating, you know what I mean? And so, and they value different numbers. So 69, for example, is also Pisces. It's also yin and yang. It's also like, there's so many things you can do with that, right? It's also like June 9th or whatever, or like whatever you want to call it, like August 6th. However you want to reverse
69 is equal to pi in Jewish gematria, which is nice. I love the gematrix page because it gives you lists of other things that work with it. Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, so like even Bible verses, right? So like these, like every paragraph, every psalm, like even like every word, right? Like people track these things. So like Dawn, for example, it's like 7 times in the King James version of the Bible. But and then Satan, for example, or like I think it's like 49 times. Don't quote me, but like people like to some groups this matters, and to some people, the people that created these books, they utilized all of these things in order to like have like this coding that like transcends the literature. Even with Shakespeare, right? That was Sir Francis Bacon, and he even put in a lot of his works like these subtle messages to say that it was him, right? Even with like using pigs or and even putting his name in different paragraphs. You know what I mean? And
Shakespeare is kind of like how William and Harry or Banksy. There's like 5 people. There's Cecil Rhodes, Bacon, De Vere, John Dee. But but basically what you've got is
reality.
What about you? Shakespeare's Dolly? What do you got?
I don't know, if you're comparing him to Banksy, like
Oh,
Dali
no.
was definitely one.
That'd be way cooler. What I wasn't actually comparing. What I was going on was my Prince William I'm Banksy like tear, which I love to go on it like consistently. I'm eventually going to name an episode. Yeah, I got to do it, but it's important. Mary Claire, Prince William admits I'm Banksy. Prince William jokes he's the anonymous graffiti artist before surprising OAP at nursing home. This is back when his grandmother was alive, and he went and he spoke. Where's the picture, though? Because the picture is hilarious. Where would you tell everyone that you were Banksy? Where's the picture, man?
Just look up the episode we did together. Don't you remember? We did an episode on this.
Yeah, but I just like to remind people. But here's the picture. It's interesting back and forth. Is
Oh, yeah, I've never seen this.
Him saying it at the Picasso piece, which I felt like kind of.
So how does he say it? Does he just kind of just say?
He said a lot of people don't know. He said a lot of people don't know I'm interested in art. I'm actually an artist myself. A lot of people don't realize this, but I'm Banksy.
You know the real Banksy actually has a hotel in Palestine, right?
Ah, there you go.
Sorry, what was that, Bernie?
The real Banksy actually has his own hotel in Palestine in protest of the Israeli occupation, and he's there often and represents it. It's registered to him. He's come out in full who he is and in promotion of his hotel there.
Okay, so who is he then?
Right, a guy who owns a hotel in Palestine. Think about it. Think about it. It's kind of who gets to own a hotel in Palestine? Who gets to do graffiti?
Hotel? Come on,
I was offered a palace in Kabul when I was in Afghanistan, like by one of the CANADA commanders when I was doing like a humanitarian aid mission in like the Kenjikek region, and I declined. And also when I climbed Mount Sinai, I was offered like a lot of camels by the Bedouin tribesmen. Sorry, I'm trying to look at links to stuff here, but like I'm losing you guys.
No, it's cool. If you want, you can also push the present button, and you can present pictures from your screen. I'll let you take over screen share if you got.
Oh, it's not my first time. Like I'm already anxious enough being on here. Like I don't want to like mess with things.
No worries. Do whatever you want. It's cool.
Oh, speaking of art and artists, sorry. Have you ever heard about the the theories that would suggest that even people like Da Vinci, like this could possibly be because of the macron thickness. It was like possibly like 0.3 macrons in consistency, the paint being used. And even now, right, like even like high grade paint, right, is between like 30 and 50 macrons in like the thickness or consistency. And so this could possibly be like more advanced technology that was used for these these optical devices or 3D like printing, right? Like of different things too, right? I don't know if you've heard about this, or painting over things or tracing over things. And we do this all over the world too with like different hieroglyphs and like and different runes and temples and like I could go on too with like
there's a lot of good stuff on this actually. Like so Da Vinci using photoactive paints that were made essentially from chemically reacted natural elements, so they're all mineral based paints. But also you look at what's his name? De Vere? No, I did that already. Like veneer painting, right? So, not right? Am I saying this right?
Maybe an eye or something.
No, Vermeer. I'm sorry. Vermeer. Okay. So Vermeer paintings, and you cannot physically do this because your eyes will adjust the light naturally. You won't be able to tell the difference between gray. If you took 30 gray squares and put them next to each other, eventually some of them start to look the same, and they just, even though they're different color grays. So what he did here is he has a lens, and he's going in and he's doing dot for dot on the page from how the light's shining through the lens, and he's painting it matching the tone from the light shining through. So this is a hand photo. He's painting a photo. The lens it's a camera obscura lens. It's upside down, but there's no physical way you could do this without doing that. There's a documentary.
There's also a way of tracing though. So they used like where it wasn't electrical or it was like mechanical, right? And so
right.
So like this device like had like lens on it and stuff like that too, and like those like weird like old like gears and like stuff like that, but where they were able to like look through like these lenses and actually be able to trace and transcribe on like the canvas by looking at a portrait like on the wall or wherever they were looking at, and they were able to like literally just trace it by using like those like this like device. I'm so bad at explaining this, but it was like an optical I forget the tracing device.
Yeah, it's like a flip mirror, and there's a couple tools that they found, and of course they come from Arabia, and so the idea that these are half of the system, right? There's probably the other half of the system. You've seen the Shroud of Turin, which is
do you want to go down that rabbit hole?
Yeah,
What do you
yeah,
got?
yeah.
What do you got? What do you got?
No, that's like I'm like already overwhelmed enough, and like
Wait.
that's like
You can't just say there's a rabbit hole about the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean,
So with like even with the Shroud of Turin, like there's like so many like different like occult groups. I don't want to offend anyone that believe that this was like the like where Jesus like the word that like covered him over, and then yeah, like his imprint and stuff like that.
They made that beautiful sculpture out of it, like so they're able to see it in 3D, and then this person made a sculpture of like what it would look like if the blanket was over the dead body that's imprinted in the fabric, and it's really beautiful.
as a kid, when I went to Turin, they gave us the hologram. Like you buy a little hologram of Jesus, and if you turned it, it's like this green thing that like shifts back and forth like a 3D image. And I mean, it was weird because they're like, okay, obviously it's fake because Jesus didn't live in Italy or Turkey. But as we go along the Tartaria rabbit hole, it's like, wait, actually, totally the time frame and the places are starting to match up way more to the Shroud of Turin. So I don't know what do you think? Is it an alien? Is it Sasquatch?
They DNA
Is
analyzed it.
Yeah,
They DNA analyzed it.
Sasquatch than an alien.
I just realized like what show I'm on, right? Like so like even with the Shroud of Turin, like I feel like your audience would be more aware. Like I'm coming at this where like I'm like trying to like I guess like conversate with like my own community. But even with Jesus, like with religions in general, like I do believe that there's like divine engineers or creators that like transcend this like multidimensional flat plane holographic reality. But even with religion, like the Christian religion, for example, it's very divisive, and even like the hidden symbology within like the Bibles themselves. There's just so many like wars, right, and like so much suffering that has happened at the hands of religion that I can't even like just even like identify or even and there's theories that would suggest, you know, like he was possibly. I don't know. I wasn't there, but like not real, right? So there's just so much out there. There's so much details about like false information, like how he didn't die when he was 33, how he possibly lived a long life, how he's possibly like married to Mary Magdalene, and like there's just so many just different versions depending on where you go and what region of the world that I just like I feel like again if we just like stop looking at ways that we can be different and using the religion, looking at like justifying killing people like by calling it like divine. Like it's so dangerous, right? So like these figures that we look at, we shouldn't really be idolizing them so much as like trying to like learn lessons, right, from history.
That movie by Scorsese, The Miracle, I think it's called. Is that right? Is that the wrong one? Scorsese, I don't know, 1989 Miracle. Harvey Keitel, is that right? Or De Niro? I don't remember. There's a movie with Harvey Keitel and with De Niro. That is in where they go to South America, the Paraguay. What's The Mission? The Mission.
Oh, that's such a great movie. Great movie.
So it's interesting because the connection to the concept of like we're bringing Christianity, we're going to kill these people. The kids are like used to living outside, and then they're afraid to sleep outside because they're afraid of the ghosts in the forest, which never existed before the Christians came. And all of a sudden, it's like a haunted forest because they were told they have to sleep in the church. And then they kill all the locals and natives because the Spanish are like, dude, Paraguay is getting too Jesuit, and they're going to have too much power. So, I mean, we have to stop them. And this happens over and over again. Convert someone to their religion, and then say, oh, actually, you can't practice that religion anymore. Change it a bit. Make it all divisive. I mean, but what is the unifying factor? I mean, the idea of there being a time when, I mean, Jesus' character, Yeshua, whatever, he's got a sword, right? So it seems like they're telling us it's like you're supposed to submit and you're supposed to be peaceful and render unto Caesar, because Paul said that, even though Christ said, you know, I came with a sword to divide and to bring back to order things. I mean, is that too far? What do you think?
I haven't watched this Last Temptation of Christ.
Oh, really? Yeah, you got to do that. It's like, so Christ has offered what's the last temptation? You don't have to die. But not really a spoiler alert, because come on.
Like, don't you have like Mithras and Horus and like so many other like historical figures that it's very similar backgrounds to Jesus, right? Like having like the Virgin Mother apparently, and like the Eastern Star, like, you know, like rising, and like the three wise men, or like whatever religion, like whatever place you're from, whatever they call it, and with the different elements that they talk about as well. Like there's just and the apostles, and like the amount of people being used, like that they like in all the different versions.
It's interesting, the Mithras
know.
cult, because you've got two versions of it. You've got the like
There's a lot.
the early, yeah, right. There's the earliest on Wiki, at least. You've got like the original cult that exists, and then you've got the post-Roman or in the Roman version, which becomes the Catholic version. And so it's interesting because once it becomes the Roman version, that you can see all of the connections to Christianity. For instance, Mithra has a Passover, kind of an equivalent to Bacchus ritual, and they drink and celebrate a lot like Bacchus, and that is. The Christians take that to convert Passover into the Eucharist ceremony. That's the ritual ceremony, which is just saying Christ always did this, but it's.
But even the Bible, the King James version, like isn't like there's like flower, it's a rose, right? And this is like ode to like the Rosicrucian, like a cult, you know what I mean? Like religion or whatever you want to call it, a cult society organization that predated possibly like even Christianity. And it's just I was going to go on a tangent with Christianity.
What do you mean the flower? Yeah, what do you mean the flower?
The rose.
Oh,
it's just like another occult organization like that possibly predate. Oh yeah, so like even with Catholicism, like for me, like again, like my brain goes to like cathodes and cathars. You know what I mean? And like so many different like words that are derived from different like places or institutions, and it's owed to different like times in history that we're trying to, I don't know, like maintain, I guess, or preserve in like subtle ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cathars are interesting. Dualists or Gnostics, so kind of connected to they're kind of the Saint Anthony style of belief, and they were definitely like considered influenced by the Bogomils. So after the Bogomils were killed and converted whoever they could in the Crusades against the Bogomils, then the Cathars went under similar persecution. But there's been so many secret Cathars. So I mean, as a Gnostic sect, they're intermingled with all of the different religions.
Yeah, exactly.
Secret Cathars.
Crypto Cathar.
It's a Cathar.
Right.
Cathedral.
Oh, is that the photo from Justice League?
Oh wow, I
That's
feel
the
it.
painting from Justice League, I think.
So what do you go, Bernie? Cathedral? Are you thinking about quat four?
For that, I'm the cathode anode and the atmospheric electricity thesis technology and the
Sorry.
yeah, cathode anode cathedral. It's pretty similar.
Yeah, it is
And
similar.
just from my own electrolysis experiments and alchemy decipherings and readings of ancient alchemy, there's just so much to these cathedrals, in that they were more likely machines rather than just places of worship.
Right. Kata, seat belt, seat, base, chair, face, geometric solid.
So essentially a giant cathode going into the sky, reaching up to God, is what the spires are, bringing in that energy.
Yeah. And even ancient hieroglyphs in Egypt too, right? Like they show these symbols that we're being told are like the symbols for like the tree of life or all these other things. But like I also look at them as like posts, right? And like even like these obelisks like that are all over the world too. Like these are like showing us like this like symbolism like in plain sight, like that we used to use like more advanced technologies and free energy using electricity. And then even with satellites, like I don't, anyway, I'm going on tangents, sorry, but yeah.
Not a tangent, it's a roll. Yeah. So
but they look like lightning poles. Sorry, like they look like electrical poles to me. Sorry, not those ones. Yeah, like more like those. And there's ones that are even like more obvious to me too, like electrical magnetic poles, like free energy symbols.
100% what they are for sure.
Yeah, and so like these are all just things like when you're looking at things from like multiple different angles and perspectives, and not even just like not just looking at what you're seeing or like listening. You know what I mean? But like assessing everything for your own like I don't know. You can see more other stuff.
Yeah, there's some pretty interesting work out there comparing the Egyptian hieroglyphs to magnetic properties and magnetic coding.
Well, toroidal fields, right? We're heavily impacted by toroidal fields, in my humble opinion. If this is a simulation, I think that's kind of like what it is. And even with Taurus and Tao and Taoism and by bull, the bull again, ode to Taurus with the constellations, all that stuff. It's all like very like in plain sight stuff, right? Like all the connections that people make. But
Bernie, if you have anything on that, let me know.
Or I make, because like no one else talks about this stuff besides me. In my group.
Get on the Discord.
Give me a second, the name will come back to me.
Yeah, if you talk about this stuff, join the
Jeremy
Discord.
Reese is in the live chat there, Andreas. He's
Jeremy!
he has to bail on you tomorrow because he had some family stuff come up.
Dad stuff. I get it. Hey, bro, we'll do it soon though. Okay, it'll be happening. We're gonna do an alien scientist thing very soon. That'll be legit. And Bernie and Jeremiah, we're gonna try to get them involved too. That'd be cool.
100%.
Yo, Bernie, are you Canadian, my brother?
Yeah, eh?
Oh, come on, you got to give me more proof than that, there, Buck. I need more proof than that.
Live from Cowtown, Alberta, eh?
Alberta, okay. That's a place.
Yeah, you know, California.
West, but it's not exactly a coast. Sorry.
I believe you.
Trapped in the Great Prairies, eh? Next to the Rockies.
On the Great White North, right? Like up above.
Like even the Eiffel Tower is a ground tower, like in my humble opinion, right? Like,
100%. They were hard.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Oh, you know, keep going about out for a rip, right? Yeah.
Eiffel Towers, like there was hundreds of them around the world.
Yeah.
And then they claimed that the Eiffel Tower was the first. It's ridiculous.
I know.
They're all over.
I know. And they're trying to say that, like, even like with the electricity, like how we've like designed structures, how like electricity was invented by Benjamin Franklin, like the whatever 1700s or whatever. Like, come on. Like there's like basilica, like there's so many different structures throughout the world, like in the design themselves, right? This is designed for like what you were saying, right? Like free energy, like electrical, like capabilities.
Oh my God.
But even with the fiber optic,
his uncle Bernie died, not even making it up. I didn't
Oh,
even
whoa.
know you
Whoa.
Dude, Jeremy.
Whoa.
Man, we're praying for your family, but that is weird. That is a lot.
We're sending
That's
our
a lot.
love.
Still got
brother.
this,
We're
Bernie,
sending our
Jeremy.
love.
You still got this, Bernie, but I
Jeremy,
am sorry for your loss.
Yeah, Jeremy, we love you, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Jeremy, haven't met you, but I love you. That's all I got to say on the matter.
You will love Jeremy. He is.
I'm gonna
Back to atmospheric electricity and Benjamin Franklin. You're 100% right. There's some German and French science books out there from the 1600s that actually show the electrical fields going up on these cathedral spires, and the exact same as what we now know today, and that the higher you go up, the larger the electrical differential potential is reached. The higher into the atmosphere to the ground you go. So it's like without a shadow of a doubt, they wiped everything out. We had electricity probably for a very long time.
Yes, we did.
That batteries are a big part of it as well. This electrolysis, and it was DC electricity, and it was produced on site as opposed. It was like a decentralized at home free energy compared to this controlled industrial style today.
There are people that are saying there's possibly like negative and positive electricity as well. Sorry, I stutter sometimes, but yeah, and possibly like the electricity that we're consuming or that's in our environment now, this is possibly more like I don't know, like more inflammatory in nature. But even the way we're doing things, right? Like we're exploiting it, like our resources, like especially in Canada, like even in the Ontario like area alone, like they're like destroying trees. They're not even like using them for like lumber or like or to build things. They're literally just like shredding them. And sorry, I went on a tangent. Can someone remind me where I was going with this? It's been like almost.
You see, getting rid of something, the negative energy. Positive and negative.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, and so they need fiber optic cables as well too, right? So there's so many places like underwater and stuff like that where like you need ground towers and you need fiber optic cables in order for electricity to be consumed, possibly. And even these like these satellites that we're calling like other things like this Wi-Fi advanced like radio technologies or whatever these frequencies, they might be like advancing like our connections and things like that, but it's not like in space. Like this is not real, in my humble opinion. And what we're calling solar flares, and even like women, sorry, not women, like one woman that was she was like Jay Dreamers, like he posted this just the other day, like he was on he recorded a conversation with a Grand Canyon employee, and she was saying that like solar flares, she said, what I mean is like reflections from the satellites that from.
Wow.
And so like so for me, like I have like my own theories too, like on the sun and the moon, like the luminaries and the constellations. And so I don't know how much longer you have on this show. So like I won't even go down that rabbit hole.
20 minutes.
Yeah,
go for
it. You got the rest of the time.
I love it. It's like I don't know how much time we have. There's so much truth that we have to share.
Like, I know, it's just crazy, right? Like I just don't even know where to start. Because even like the theory of evolution, Like, I don't think we came from monkeys. Like, I don't believe in the Big Bang theory. I don't think the world is a globe. Like, I don't think that, I don't think that we've gone beyond the firmament. And there's so many ancient civilizations, right, that have taught this, right? And it's in so many different, this is like Eric Dubé that talks about this. I would highly recommend, like looking at his work. I don't know if you can see that, but it's
push it in a little bit. There we go.
I'm trying to do. How do we do the full? Boom. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Right,
okay. Yeah.
These organizations that were like teaching even like this like type of like a reality, and it's only NASA, right, with like this propaganda, just like Periscope films with like their military propaganda like videos. Like it's like we're being misled because there's a lot. Wyoming, I don't know because I'm not them, but there's a lot of money and there's a lot of like wealth. There's a lot of reasons to I don't know why I had that up for so long, right? But there's a lot of reasons to lie to us, right? And people don't want the truth coming out because like they don't want to get in trouble. But I'm saying, like, in my humble opinion, like as long as we shed light on this stuff, like
pretty.
I don't know, it just helps us. And
It's interesting when you look at the pictures of the Earth, right? Because you can see like this is how the Egyptians looked at and knew it, and she's holding up the sea, and it's kind of this flat Earth kind of thing going on. Then you get the Norse. The Norse have got this tree, but it's a flat Earth going on and kind of a globe kind of thing. Hindus, elephants, turtles, but yeah, it's kind of a flat Earth.
What
thing.
about toroid Earth?
We'll get there.
It's a simulation. This is a simulation.
Mayan Earth, flat Earth. Inca Earth, flat Earth. Okay, Navajo Earth is a flat Earth. Very amazing. I like the Navajo one. And then here we go, Hebrew Earth, which is like it's where you start to realize, hey, it's not just that you've got a flat Earth. You've also got some firmament going on, bro. And there's some shoal underneath all that Earth you got there. And now we've got this cool thing that says Dong. Yeah, glob heads. All right, keep it going.
I love that. Cock.
All right, sorry, John.
Who wrote that book?
I forget what I was gonna say because like because you were showing like images, but like they're all CGI manipulated overlays. Like they admit that as well. So like nothing that we see online for any planets or anything that we see, like it's all lies. Even like the UN. There's some organizations that actually use the flat Earth model in their designs, and this is again like just like show in plain sight like what they do and what they know and how they mislead us.
But toroid Earth, what kind of crazy nonsense? Who believes in this?
That's a hollow Earth, essentially.
Let's just be honest. It's actually a real thing, and the Wikipedia even has an article about it. I only bring up Wikipedia to A, keep myself from getting taken off YouTube, and B, to prove that this isn't like just that it's a YouTube video. Toroidal planets, hypothetical shape of telluric exoplanets with toroidal or donut shape. Yeah, guess what? It's not. That's how close we are to admitting what's really going on. So, okay, go ahead, Bernie. You had some thoughts.
Well, I'm a multiple dimensional theorist, and I'm working on a unified.
I identify as 5D
field theory of geometry of everything that also includes consciousness. It's scalable to life, to matter, to everything, and it would be that the first dimension is your flat disk, and from a single perspective. Your second dimension would be this rod or polarized two rejecting fields. Then your third dimension would be a sphere or your ball, and then going up higher, there would be your what's it called, honeycomb Earth or something like that, and then your inner Earth, the toroid Earth, and another dimension within it all is and yes, the Platonic solids are like the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th dimensional geometries, and it's like crystals folding into itself when way higher.
There's some animation.
Can you look up magnetrons, Andreas? Like a magnetron. Has anyone here ever heard of a magnetron?
Oh yes.
Magnetron,
but also
magnetron.
in throughout.
It's like in microwaves and
South
stuff
Africa,
like that.
I think.
Oh, man, how French does that go? Is this the same as a magnetron? As a magnetitron? That's the French word.
Maybe I'm saying it wrong.
You're just saying it more right than anybody.
Magnetron. I don't know.
Our lives also look like magnetrons too.
Magnetron's the American buck. I think we're gonna go with magnetitron. Le magnetitron. Okay.
Let me just.
No. You were just in case you don't ever doubt yourself. Look at that.
Because magnetic, like because we're electrical magnetic beings, right?
It is.
So like for me, like it's like we're heavily impacted by.
You just use the actual French scientific term, so you do not need to apologize for that. Here's the thing that's crazy though. What a cool piece of machinery here. I feel like you could use this to cool a GPU. It's like a heat sink. You've got all this metal going on. What is it?
You
What's
can
it
actually
doing?
use those to increase your atmospheric electricity and ground electricity that you harvest. And there's some Russian videos of guys doing it and actually powering their homes with them with that antenna and some ground connection.
But oh my god! So
Xirtus.
how's it work? Yeah. Yeah. What's
Go
up?
ahead.
Sorry.
No, Bernie, fit you before you hand me the gauntlet. Bernie, take it away.
For the specifics, I'm gonna need Jeremiah to come on because I'll say something that's a little bit inaccurate at some point.
Jeremiah.
So I just put the layman's terms and thesis of it out, and then we'll bring Jeremiah on to actually explain the technical
Okay,
side
all
of
right.
it.
Dude,
You
shout
know,
out to
Jeremiah,
Jeremiah.
he was a bullfrog.
Shout out to Jeremiah. Seriously, guys, get on to Jeremiah's YouTube. Subscribe to it. Where is it? Jeremiah the Technician. I don't even see it. Where'd you go? I'm gonna put a link in this.
Technicians is what his
Oh,
one channel's called.
That's right. Join the Technicians.
And then his second one is Exotic Propulsion as well.
Yeah, super amazing channel. Great information on his no content. 4K special, the plasma pen. I mean, just incredible stuff that he's working on. I love Jeremiah. We'll get him on here soon. Hopefully.
Can't wait to meet him.
But so you're saying the magnetron works by what do you say? It spins to
The classic one I've seen is usually a bunch of circles on the outside and then a big circle on the inside that focuses it all. If Jeremy is still in the live chat, he could probably explain it a lot better than me too. They've actually taken engineering school and whatnot, as opposed to where I'm. There you go. That's the one. That's the classic style one. And then what's crazy is that Michael Tellinger down in South Africa has found all these stone circles that are identical looking to those type of magnetrons, and then goes and measures the energy within it, and they're at these like crazy kilohertz frequencies coming out of these stone circles that are made as actual magnetrons like that.
What the hell?
man. And you know about Pearl Castle,
That's
right?
interesting.
Oh yeah, Coral Castle is something fascinating. Like Edleed Scallan's work is just top notch as well with his flywheels, and then his book on magnetic current.
Here's his thing, though.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a magnetron, and the way it works is similarly.
Yeah, it actually.
That's
is
what I
kind
wanted to
of
show
like a
you. Thank you,
magnetron.
Andreas. Oh, like
The
that's-
technical term
that's a good
is flywheel, but it is actually kind of like a magnetron, no doubt.
It's built from virgin magnets, which is the thing that they pulled out from the piece. But if you've read, and Brittany, Secretary Tartarian, the Truth Fairy, Real Truth Fairy, she has a pretty good study of this. And we took the book and we used algorithms to try to.
We lost Xirtus.
Oh,
Oh,
he's
he's
doing
crashed.
that
Oh,
happen.
we've hijacked his stream now, eh?
All right, this is the new
Canadians
show,
are
ladies
here.
and gentlemen. He's back.
Ah, he's back.
All right,
All right, Bernie, next time, you and me.
I only
How
showed
about
my nipple.
Scanlan? No, but there was a. I'll just try to keep it safe so I don't get in trouble for talking about it, I guess. But I mean, the deal is that the perpetual motion machine, they tore it apart. The dudes with the suit showed up and took the thing. But Edward Scanlan had written that book, right? Where's his book? Edward Scanlan book, and he talks about the virgin sweet.
Good one.
He talks about his Sweet 16, virgin. And you're like, okay, either this dude is like the weirdest pervert who's ever worked in engineering, and that's saying something if you've ever met someone. Yeah.
I don't know.
But what it seems to actually have been is he was talking about virgin magnets, right? And so the virgin magnet is a very specific kind of magnet. You need to have polarization that is pure, and if you have 16 of them, you can use that to build a magnetron that can be used to levitate stone, or at least the parts of the stone, which will bring the rest of the stone up with it.
So there's a channel called Vincent St. Vincent. The guy's name is Roy, and he has rebuilt a massive Edleed Scallan flywheel that he's actually connected to some different Tesla coils and whatnot, and has some videos where he's actually levitating stone with it. Not large ones, but small ones, but also producing a shit ton of electricity out of his flywheel.
Vincent Stevenson?
Vinny St. Vincent.
This isn't it, no?
No.
Vinny St. Vincent. Okay.
Oh, it's with Y. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's the one. That's the guy.
Okay. And that's interesting. So he's built the flywheel.
Yeah, go down a little bit more. Freaking, yeah. No. little bit more when he's in his workshop. He clogged up all his videos with the stupid shorts and his TikTok stuff. But there you. That's in his lab.
Very cool.
Spins it
Wish I had a
around.
lab.
That's nothing though. There's a giant flywheel he's got in the middle of it. There we go. Top.
Oh boy.
Oh shit!
Dude, you
You
know
don't
you're a
have a
nerd
lab.
when you do vertical
Yeah.
videos on YouTube. I'll tell you what. Where's the,
What the
If
heck?
you don't have a
clicked the
lab,
wrong
then
one?
are you really living? This is the question.
where did
Okay,
the thing
Mel,
go?
why would you even
Oh,
go
there it is.
there? Why would you even go there? Bro? Why would you even go there?
Dude,
I'm
just
out.
if I click on it, it
out.
won't even. It's not letting me do it. No, come back. I don't know why, but it's not letting me open that particular video. It's pulling me
Weird.
to his beat.
Weird, right?
His
Look at
movie
that.
beats. Yeah, it's trippy. They don't want you to know about this
Strange.
stuff, but free
No
energy is
shame.
interesting.
Yeah.
What's with this
Yeah.
book? A book in every home.
Oh, right.
What
So
does
he
that
wanted.
refer to? Because
so he-
that's whoever thought that there'd be a book in every home. That was an
Well, it's
easy
not just
guess.
about the book. It's not just about the book. What he was hoping is that you'd have it. You'd once you had the book, you'd have the idea how to build the magnets, and everyone had free energy in every home. That's the thing,
Oh, okay.
and you'd be able to build your castle out of stones and have free, electricity and light, and yeah, you could
And
kill
stone
bugs.
lasts longer than like other materials do during certain resets. Sorry,
There's-
I'm cutting you off.
People
No,
who've
no.
done this?
No,
this
and that's what's interesting. Well, there's been so I'm sure if you talk about and who's John Hutchinson, right, Bernie?
John Hutchinson, another great Canadian,
Right.
is responsible for the Hutchinson effect. These anti-gravitic, I guess, energy combinations of different. He uses like a bunch of ex-military sonar and radar equipment and just shoots a whole bunch of different types of.
Look at every other
waves
apartment
at
is
each other, and it like transmutates metals. Apparently, it levitated a bunch of them, and he's rebuilt. That's his old place in Vancouver. Now I guess he's resetting up somewhere down in the States with his wife. His new channel is Klingon Baroness Carla Conniption Hutchinson, I think. But yeah, quite the character, but he is one heck of a out there genius. And
But there's been some examples from Hutchinson of levitation, and there are people that are using this for free energy more than for levitation. But levitation's not that far out, like sonic levitation.
Yeah,
right?
actually, for free energy, he came out with these everlasting crystal capacitor batteries, solid state crystal batteries, a while ago that he does instructional videos on as well. They've been reproduced by a few people I know and apparently work quite well.
You've got, and they're doing these simple tests, right, with these small speakers, but, you can use better waves to produce a floating. Right now, you've got a piece of metal floating in between the, these two magnets. So it's easy if you can create and control the sound. And this is really funny because that's what Solomon says.
Oh, so that's sound levitation, acoustic levitation, not.
But sound is a wave. So the thing is, sound levitation is a weaker form of wave levitation. It still works on the same principle. It's just
we can
less
break
powerful.
glass with your voice, right? Like opera singers.
Actually, Andreas, I was talking to Jeremiah specifically about this the other day privately.
What does Solomon say?
Combining the three types together: electrogravitic, acoustic levitation, and magnetic levitation combined. And supposedly that's what is how the Honeyboo and the Honeyboo 1 and 2 and whatever the other Nazi one was called, not the Bell, but they're like mass-produced UFO ones, and like the other discs, and possibly the TR-3B as well.
Dude, Jeremiah's life is so rough.
Do this in Twin Peaks, the new Twin Peaks.
Imagine Jeremy and Jeremiah's life.
Thing.
They have if Jeremy and Jeremiah don't their whole who they are, they're here to bring us anti-gravity and levitation.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
thought
And
David Lynch did it.
No, I mean in real life. David Lynch's movie.
I spent 15 years studying on the internet before I started streaming with different private research groups. I was using Zoom for 15 years before COVID happened, or not 15, 10 probably. with this Keshi Foundation and the Residence Academy with Nassim Haramein as well, being like, I'm going to build me my own UFO. And it's like, those kind of turned out, they might be legit, they might be bunk, I don't know, but I learned a lot from them. But Jeremiah and Jeremy, by far, the biggest real deals ever, and the best hope we have for public, free sourced, open sourced anti-gravitic crafts coming soon.
My Broken Brain, is that these are documentaries. I don't know about did you do a thing on anti-gravity you can think of?
Can I interject? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Before I forget, because always. Again, I go to school and again, I'm on Signal and Telegram all hours of the day because a lot of people I know, it's like different time zones, you know what I mean? And like all over. But I wanted to talk about also for what I do, I teach hostile environment awareness training as well. But so I was looking at these post-nuclear response pamphlets, like in all these different countries, right? And it's something that I've done for many, many years. And then I was just looking at how they make the comparisons with TNT and the kilotons or whatever you want to call it of TNT as the comparative models for the impact of these nuclear blasts, and how they're followed by EMP type like events like EMPs, electrical magnetic pulses, that do impact like a lot of different areas, right? So not just wind, but also like electrical outages and things like that can elicit, you know what I mean, what we're calling man-made natural events, right? Like like possibly, maybe, I don't know, hurricanes, I don't know, maybe possibly allegedly tornado, I don't know, but there's also like the natural wind that happens obviously too.
I've heard about research in this area where it's like the blast from bombs and things. They're thinking of making bombs themselves like a war,
the EMP
like a war crime or something, like if you use bombs of any kind, because it's like the pressure that they give off, like I don't know, like the air pressure too causes brain damage or something. What is that?
Thermobaric shockwave pressure.
The shockwave stuff will cause brain damage, and if you're inside a structure, it ricocheting off the walls will actually give you worse brain damage than if you were just like out in the open and stuff. So they're looking into all this stuff, doing all this research in order to create it being like using any sort of, it's like a terrorist move if you use a bomb nowadays or something, or will be.
Even with noise, like at 80 decibels, right? Like
or noise.
Our ear, and so even in Ontario, in our own I just wanted to say, like we're using like these sound devices like as irritants to like under bridges and stuff like that, like where people go to congregate or what do you call it, and like they're very loud and it's repetitive. It's like a chronic sound, and it's very invasive, right, on a cellular level, because we're light particle beings, right? Like that's what we are.
And it's ultimately pollution. It's like noise, light, sound pollution, and it's like, that's
heat ray. Active denial system ADS, they refer to as the heat ray, and that's the if you go, let me see if I can find pictures of it. But you've seen this before. These are the vehicles that just shoot under the tunnels or at the protesters with the lasers. Well, it's a big antenna on top of a vehicle, and they can park them from a mile away, and they hit the protesters with them with active denial systems, is what they're called on Wiki, the non-lethal direct energy weapon developed by the U.S. military. And I think that we all like to, I don't know why Canada's so humble, because you guys definitely had a hand at Camp X, but designed for
like area fighters, rangers, like snipers, like we have so much to be proud of, and we're so much about our own history that like it frustrates me, right? Like, and this is kind of the
Carrie, Candy.
I like our nostalgia better a little bit. Or
so Raytheon and manufactured it, and you know about Raytheon in Canada and in Alaska, or sorry,
Yukon,
South America,
Alaska, and HARP, and oh my goodness.
Right. Well, they're doing crazy things with HARP these days. Apparently, they're firing the waves at the moon and at Jupiter.
Really? What?
Yeah, they just opened HARP back up for experiments. Sending energy waves at both the moon and at Jupiter.
Why can't they leave the planets alone, man?
Leave Jupiter alone.
Right? Leave her alone.
I mean, I in my humble opinion, again, this sounds crazy, but I don't believe that the planets that we're being told are what they are, right? I believe they're luminaries. I believe that this is a stationary plane, and that they're they're moving in perfect pattern above us. And if you look at the Polaris North Star, right, it's in the center and everything revolves around it, and there's so many time stamps that can be done and with cameras and stuff like that. And anyway,
and
simulation. It's a simulation.
That whole
All
thing
right.
I
with
personally
Pluto.
think Jupiter and Saturn are most likely made of plasma, and the moon could be too, because it seems a little translucent.
Bernie, what are you building over there?
Yeah, so I've got a little acoustic levitator here,
There you go.
right there. And
In Canada. Oh,
oh,
so
look at that.
cool.
That's levitation.
That is awesome.
Bernie, why are you so cool?
Because my name's Bernie, eh?
Great,
I'm
Bern,
Canadian, eh?
Bestowed onto him.
Bernard.
Bernard. There we go.
Wow.
Levitation right in the middle.
As he's holding it
Oh
too.
my god, that's so cool.
Wow.
My
That's
man.
I mean,
Man.
the moral lesson here is that everything they told you was out of reach is in the hands of Bernie and also us.
Basically, it's in the hands of Bernie.
Yeah.
Exactly. So my next
What are you gonna do with
Michael
that?
Boyd, a good guy, good engineer, part of the APEC, was the one who got me this little acoustic levitator. And then my next part of the experiments is going to be drying out some of the monoatomic material and
you're gonna drink
playing
that?
with that in the acoustic levitator.
Drink it,
That's
Bernie.
I do. I will on some, but I'm not going to get Xirtus's channel canceled by doing it live on.
I
Here,
drink
yeah.
colloidal metals, but I try not to go too heavy. Not because of the blue guy, just because you want some gut fauna. You got to be careful about
Oh,
that.
exactly. I drank just the colloidal water for the first 5 years before ever starting to consume just small amounts of the pure monoatomic gold. And well, when you're making something out of gold, it's a little bit expensive. Like, the price of gold.
A little bit.
My God. Well, okay, we're about 2 hours deep. This has been pretty great. Is there anything you guys want to make sure that we cover? We can do a couple more if there's anything
I have
else.
a quick question.
Yeah.
Dawn, who is the author of that book that you've been showing us?
Eric Dubé.
Okay, my mistake.
ERIC.
Okay.
There's a lot of controversy surrounding him because whenever there's any kind of outages in certain areas, they do it's like book burning, but it's online, it's virtual, and so a lot of the algorithms have been changed now. Oh my goodness, I'm on. Sorry, I see myself.
This was your solo, the drum solo. Good.
I don't even know where we're going with this, but oh yeah, the algorithms have changed, and so whenever you do any kind of searches, especially in Canada, we're very censored. You're not going to get anything that's that's tangible or that makes any sense, right? So you're going to get information that's ridiculous that no one believes that in my group, right? That believes any of this flat Earth stuff, this simulation, Earth stuff, and but we're getting censored. Accounts are getting removed, or they're just getting filtered down, right? And they're not getting any attention. So yeah, it is what it is.
Gotta fight the power. Wait, pull out the pink book. Jordan, you just had. I know you just put it away, but this is one of my favorites. It's one of my favorite books, actually.
That's a good one.
The One World Tartarians.
Ooh,
we were talking about. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yes, Tartaria.
It's a great book. You can buy a copy for 10 friends and leave them at all their houses on their coffee table, and they will open it up and look at pictures and stuff.
Yeah. No, we were talking about magnetic towers and electrical towers and all that kind of stuff, and there's a good section of them in this book, and it actually talks about the Washington Monument, and it shows kind of a replica monument in London and one in the Vatican, which so that's
those
maybe
monoliths.
for another time. It's so just something to bring up. I thought maybe the author of Dawn's book was the same, just because of how he just because her book, there was a lot of pictures showing different comparisons, for example. So I just thought maybe it was the same author, because I know James W. Lee, he likes to give it to you right in the photo and compare it, and that's always good. So
even Socrates and Plato believed in until the scientific revolution, which I call a de-evolution, but they believe that the Earth was a flat plane, stationary, and a lot of even religious books do teach this stuff, and so it's not just Eric Dubé. There's Alex Gleason, and then again there's a lot of older ancient experts and philosophical people that I believe were more advanced, more educated, more esoteric, in their teachings and things like that, and anyway, but we're just
Alexander Gleason is a interesting
internet burning.
Alexander Gleason is really interesting. I think we're going to have to do a deep dive. And in general, people should be looking into Alexander Gleason and his standard map of the world. Very interesting. I definitely hear some weird noise. Does anyone hear that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bernie.
Bernie, I think your levitator.
Levitator.
I thought I was going to say your levitator was taking a bong rip. I wasn't sure what it was. But Eric Dubé also, you know what? If you're going to get in trouble for something, Eric Dubé, go to his YouTube, check out his videos. If you have any questions about Earth skeptics or globe skeptics stuff, start with Eric Dubé. He's kind of I think that's the place to start, probably. And you have a better place to start than Dubé? What do you think?
I think he's good. Then also like Sun, Moon, Earth Clock app or whatever. Like it's a weird name. But
David Weiss.
David Weiss.
That's him. Yeah. And so he also, but again, like when you look online, people are looking at like the rebuttals against them because people just want to vilify people first. They don't actually look at his material. They look at the counter, the rebuttals. And so like it's so misleading. And so if people actually just look at his site and just not look at look at his site, because he actually has rebuttals for a lot of what they're saying too, but he's getting censored, right? And so please just look at his site directly.
I don't know if where's my I have a good David Weiss interview I recommend. It's
Level is a good documentary. What do you want to call it? It's called Level, and it like discusses again all this stuff, and exposes a lot of the misleading information, even with space and with the cords that they're using and the time lapses that they do for the footage. It's just so and I cite this so I'm on Rumble now. And I reference, and this is not a plug again because I want to be back.
Dude, go and check out her Rumble though, because you can say stuff there you can't say on YouTube.
Yeah, because I keep on getting deleted, and I just got deleted from YouTube again, just a couple of days ago. Right?
Boo!
I'm just giving data.
Down with this sort of thing, right? Yeah.
Down with that thing.
Yeah. But
I cite a lot of references. So if people go on Rumble, then they just click on whatever they want to look at. I give descriptions and make your own. I urge people to do their own research.
I think it's interesting that I made a video called Maverick Epistemology, and they still put a flat Earth warning on it. So that just lets you know. But it's all star cast right here. We've got conspiracy music guru from Spain, Alex, and we've got David Weiss, and I brought a bunch of philosophers as well. Eugenie, shout out to Eugenie, what a genius man. And so, yeah, this one is great because it's a bunch of people who weren't flat earthers and some of them who weren't even Earth skeptics, acknowledging that they have skepticism about NASA, and then Weiss sharing some of the research he's done. I thought it was pretty good. I like Weiss a lot too.
Whatever you do, don't go to eWook for your flat Earth information.
Okay, all right.
Again, they're from the Flat Earth Society because that's controlled opposition, right? It's not real. No one in Flat Earth believes it. No, they were not part of that.
I'm sorry. I got a vent on the flip-flop radio fools of eWook and counterfeit nickels because they've been attacking me and Autodidactic and Stuffed Beagle and a bunch more on the whole Tartaria thing, saying they've disproved it and
that's so ridiculous. Oh my god.
I was talking about the Grand Canals of Tartaria, literally the 6,500 kilometer canal that goes throughout all of Russia, connecting the Baltic Sea with the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, and the Grand Canal of China that is 3,000 years old and connects 2/3 of China. And then they're like, "Oh, we debunked you with pictures of the Erie Canal."
We got the Mississippi River here.
Well, I'm shook, boys.
Says Tartaria.
I'm shook, boys. I'm shook. I like that in Star Trek Enterprise intro. You ever watch the new Star Trek show? Not the new one. It's 20 years now.
Dude,
God, I'm dating.
You're talking New Worlds?
You got
Picard, Discovery, or New Worlds?
Astrolabe.
Even
that, not the globe, but the thing that was around the globe, that.
Oh,
that used to,
actual Enterprise.
Well, so Bacula, sexy man, Quantum Leap, very good. But
I met Bacula.
Oh, you did? I'm jealous. That's awesome. Yep. That's very cool.
He's an alright kind of guy.
Yeah, I've heard only good things. Is it showing on
though, this, not the globe underneath, but the thing that goes around it.
Yeah,
that is also occult organizations or societies that use this as ode to the astrolabes or more advanced energy sources and how they.
Are you guys ready for it? Boom! Tartaria come right there. Yeah. 1999, 2000, 2001, Star Trek. Tartarian.
Wow. So that's before Tartarian was even trending. That's too.
Bro, that was way before. Yeah.
Jeez, they had the upshot on it.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's and this is and they put it during the song that everybody hates. Like it's been a long time, and everyone's like, "Can you skip the theme? I don't want to see the theme." So they didn't even notice. But what are we looking at? Don said it perfectly. This is like space as a ring. You know, this is actual space. It's this the luminary ring. You know, the astrological belt. It's as opposed to this greater space idea. And I don't know if you guys go into the sea is space thing. Space is water, but I like that one a lot because of
I personally I think there's a plasma barrier, like what some people call the firmament. I think it must be a plasma barrier. And I also believe that you have to go into the micro to get back out into the macro, like time dimensions and matter have to fold into each other to then be able to get out of it.
Right. Woo! That's Cyrus Teed's hollow earth, concave earth, if you've seen Koresh Teed's concave earth theory. And it seemed crazy, but if you go to the little museum next to the Scientologist town in Florida, where Ponce de Leon was searching for the fountain of youth, you'll find one of the oldest hollow earth societies in the world, and in America at least, that says that the world is inside of a hollow earth. We're inside of it right now. And when you look out, you're looking at the rest of the world from the center. But as space is at the center, we're looking up at this density, which is like a black hole that is pulling all the density into itself. And if you imagine like a virtual reality world, you could actually have higher resolution at the center, and it could be spread out wider, so you could contain an entire universe inside out from the way that we're described it. So I don't know, but I'm a big fan of that. I like the idea of plasmoidal Earth, right? Guys, that's crazy fun. Make sure people don't stop, never stop. Yeah, keep and come back. I like.
Try to keep things light, right? Because like what I talk about is heavy. Like what people talk about is heavy. So like when you bring humor to it, right? Like I just find it's just like a better way of just like managing stuff, right?
Yeah. No, but next time we can go. Let's go into like stem cell aborted fetal tissue and Pizzagate next time. I mean, let's go for it. We'll have to come up with some jokes that we can complement it with, but let's go as hard as we want to go. There's no reason not to. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Don.
Only on Rumble and Odyssey, though.
Right. Go hardcore on the Odyssey.
And I'm on LinkedIn.
That is hilarious. That was the funniest thing to me when I was meeting you. I was like, okay, so she doesn't have this or that, but she's got a pretty solid LinkedIn. I mean, dang, they must have really... I'm surprised
you it on me again in December, right? So like this is me.
You don't drive like a car, right? Like you're keeping yourself safe. I'm just saying, be careful.
Oh, like you have no idea, like anyway. But like,
don't
I got a show on LinkedIn too, dude. So don't worry.
Yeah, but definitely Don 189, super epic. The point I bring it up is not just a follower. Watch these videos because they're deep. You go into a level like you're not even thinking about yet. This is what you guys need. And then Divulgence podcast, one of the greatest podcasts in the world. Hold on, I almost did it right. There we go. And if you're what's weird is a bunch of people are finding my show now through podcasts, and that's great. I didn't realize how big of an audience there was outside of YouTube. Why I'm in one pigeonhole box is crazy, but you can listen to the stuff on your phone. You can listen all over the internet. I know people are doing that now, and that's awesome. But you can also go to the Divulgence. I'm always afraid to type in the wrong one. Is it going to work? Thank God. Thank God. Oh, all right. So guys, subscribe to Divulgence podcast on YouTube. Listen to these. There's a few of the episodes we've done here as well. And he's also got one year anniversary special. And some really good talks on unprecedented advent of Hollywood. Kubrick.
Eyes Wide Shut, Camp X, 9/11. Maxwell, Diddling Kids, all that good stuff.
Right, the Maxwell one's good. I was on that one, and that also has.
I was on that one. That one's good.
Well, it has William Ramsey. I was going to bring up for because William Ramsey's a genius. I love that he.
That was a stellar cast for sure.
Super epic. Crypto Alchemist, our buddy Bernie. You can go check him out on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and don't forget to watch the videos though. That's the thing because there's some crazy. I mean, I bring these people here for a reason. You want to look at some of the experiments that Bernie's doing. Conversations he's having with crazy people like us, and old world remains, autodidactic chemics. I mean, there's important stuff happening. So make sure you do that. Also, Crypto Alchemist, what's your other channel called?
Burneye, Burneye. If just look that up and then it'll come up.
ER BUR. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So make sure you get in here because there's also keep keep them safe.
So there's
you know?
extra ones on the small Burn Eye channel that don't go on to the Crypto Alchemist ones. There's probably about an extra 2 shows a week on there.
Oh, sweet.
Or also, if you look up Weekend at Burn Eyes, a lot of my other podcasts on other people's channels will pop up with that, or just Burn Eye in general, BURNEYE, and then it pops up all over the place.
There we go. Legit. And then American Time Machine. And by the way, Kurt, we're going to have to do another talk soon because I know we didn't get to go deep into it tonight, but there's some stuff here that I want to make sure that we discuss. We're going to bring back APM. APM Advanced Philosophy Meme Show is on its return. So that'll be exciting. And American Time Machine, the music that is for you, the music you need to listen to, the music that I need a vinyl record of. Tulsi Gabbard is hot, explicit. It's popular right now. It's listenable. Joe Biden has dementia. I'm one of those hipsters that likes to listen to the 3rd track. You know what I mean? So give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance. Give American Time Machine a chance. You know what? While I'm in the shilling mood, buy my swag. You can get yourself a sweatshirt. You look pretty good in that. I know you would. And then if you need a white one to be special, these are good too. I really like the white ones. And they stay clean. It's epic. And if that's not good enough, get yourself some shoes. If you're a big old boy, we've got the Giants edition. We've also got dresses. Yeah, that's right. We just went there. Okay, I'm done with my grift, and I love you all. See you next time. Anything else you guys wanted to do right?
Love you all. Good to see everyone.
Stay
Nice to
blessed.
see you, Don.
Nice to meet everyone.
Kurt, Bernie, Andreas, my boys, my crew. Woo! That's it.
Go for a rip, baby.
Find Discord.
Take
What
a
are
little
the
rip,
odds, Don?
man.
American
name of-
Time Machine, not sure your first name. I don't know. Sorry.
Kurt.
Andreas, love you.
Bernard, it's Kurt. Nice to see you again.
Kurt,
Dude.
cool.
Kurt's my
Dude.
boy.
Remember that, Kurt.
In the name of
Third time's a
Canada.
charm.
In the name of Canada, God bless us all.
Canada is a country. Waves of people came to this country, were welcomed by the folks who have lived here for millennia, the First Nation. And built this society with waves of people fleeing religious persecution, fleeing tyranny, fleeing to try and build a better life for themselves here than they had back home. Whether it's folks fleeing from world wars or fleeing from civil wars, these people always want the same thing: to be able to live in peace, to raise their families, create a better future for themselves and their communities. And that is what generations created, this extraordinary diverse society we have. Now, Canada remains one of the only countries in the world where citizens are, by and large, positively inclined. And one of the reasons we are that way is because Canadians have confidence in our